might be everything that I want you. 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 Might be everything that I want. Don't talk a lot. Don't talk a lot, but I like it 'cause I can't tell you everything that went on. Can't tell you everything that went on. Don't talk a lot.
Hello, everybody.
Howdy, folks.
Welcome to Hot on the Presses, episode 3.
It's been a minute. I've missed you all.
I know it's been a little bit because we were at spring break.
I thought you were going to say we were at Savannah Stopover.
For the entire
the whole time.
I was gonna say
it's
that.
a long ass stopover.
I know. That's not a stopover. That's like a stay.
That's the main event.
Yeah, I was thinking about saying that, and then I realized that would be a fallacy that I would be saying. So I needed to correct myself. But yeah, the last couple weeks have been spring break, and we have not been allowed into the media center. We've been condemned.
It's taking all of my energy, like every ounce of psychic energy within me right now, to not say phallus when you said fallacy.
No, me too. I was trying to say that it would be fallacious, and then I was like,
phallus.
Yeah, and that sounds like fellatio. So it was just a little bit too much for me in that moment.
Official school sanctioned podcast, baby.
Hell yeah. And I've said it once and I'll say it again. That's the good part of podcasts. You can say whatever the hell you want. All right. So yeah, as we mentioned, Savannah Stopover happened, which was the week before spring break. So that was 3 weeks ago now. And that's our little Savannah local festival. We get local acts and also touring acts who are just kind of passing by for a couple nights. And I was a volunteer. I was around for both days, hanging out with artists and giving tours and et cetera, et cetera. And then Sophie visited me on the second day.
I purchased a ticket like a schmuck.
Yeah, I got free entry and free schmoozing.
Yeah, no schmoozing. I did not partake in any schmoozing, but I sure did partake in seeing some really good bands.
Yes, you did.
I did.
You're wearing a shirt for Soccer Mommy.
I am. I did that on purpose.
Who was a headliner.
Yes.
The headliner, I would say.
The headliner. Soccer Mommy are awesome. I love their album Color Theory.
There you go.
Colon parenthesis. There were some issues with the set. Did you see that set, or were you backstage at the moment?
No, I went for the set and left halfway through.
Oh.
Because I thought it was kind of boring,
Wow.
and she did not seem enthused.
Well, the sound was fucked up.
Yeah.
They fucked up the sound, which I was very sad about. And I hate to say that in the review of her show, because it's not her fault.
Yeah.
And the guy, who was running around backstage, trying to fix the sound, was very clearly, super pissed off with the people, working for him. It was a bit of the one guy felt kind of like a bumbling Jack Black character. He was just switching fucking wires
just
and
seeing what would work.
Literally, at one point they were just plugging shit, just trying everything.
Yeah.
And the guitar was not, you could not hear her. You could not hear the guitar. So yeah, halfway through one song, everything just cut out and she was trying to sing and you could not hear her at all.
Oh,
it
that sucks.
Yeah, that always sucks. And I think, yeah, she was definitely a little pissed off after that.
Yeah.
Can't blame her. They finished out the show. They played the hits. I enjoyed it.
There
overall.
you go.
Yeah.
I think that part of it is just an issue with her as an artist, is she's not super one of my favorites. I tend to find a lot of her stuff a little bit samey. So when I was there, I was just sort of I was hanging out with Nordista Freeze and his Goonies. Mm-hmm. Hi guys, if you're listening.
You better be.
We'll see. And so I was with them, and we just kind of looked at each other and we were like, is this what Soccer Mommy is sitting and nodding for an hour? Because that was basically all we were doing. There was not really a lot of dancing or vibing really happening. So I was a little iffy on that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it also, I think my taste of her is colored in the same way that your taste of snail mail is colored, mm-hmm. because they get compared to each other so often. And yeah.
Did we talk about that on the podcast?
I don't think we have, but I'm a snail mail enthusiast, and Sophie is a Soccer Mommy enthusiast.
Every time I listen to snail mail, I'm just I would rather be listening to Soccer Mommy.
And that was how I felt when I was at the show, because I've seen snail mail live, and I was and this was during the Lush era when it was a lot more singer-songwritery and a little less more bandy. And so I was oh, okay, woman on stage with guitar. I would rather be watching Lindsay Jordan right now. So it was sort of just like, for that reason too. But I'm glad that you had fun. You had a funny moment with the Slim Jim.
God. Okay, so we saw this band called Dead Tooth. Shout out Dead Tooth.
That was a great
Those
set.
guys
Great
were fucking
set.
awesome. Sound wise, I would compare them to somewhere like Pavement with a saxophone.
Yeah, they're fun. They're like a post-punk act. The sax adds a lot.
Yeah.
The sax player was going
awesome.
bonkers.
He was so
good.
Vocal delivery kind of reminded me of Viagra Boys was the other band I was thinking of while watching them.
Definitely.
Like more this is a low bar, but more cultured than Viagra Boys. Like they definitely like at least pretended to have their act together.
Yeah.
Character wise, like I'm not accusing Viagra Boys of like
Being degenerate.
no, like for real. Like the character of the band was definitely
Yeah.
more put together than Viagra Boys, but that's where the sound was, plus a really good saxophonist.
Yeah. They were on the New York Brooklyn scene with Bambara.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I was like, attitude. I like it.
Neat. Yeah, they were really fun. And midway through the set, someone on stage just started hurling Slim Jims into the audience. Like, not even like the shits that you get at the gas station. Like, I'm talking full foot long, like the huge Slim Jims.
Like they had a Slim Jim budget.
Yeah, they put dough into their Slim Jims.
Yeah.
And like, it was almost hard to process what was happening at first because, like, you know, sometimes there's antics on stage.
Yeah.
You don't generally expect bands to start throwing things at the
you,
audience.
yeah.
And then when it lands on your foot, you look down, you don't expect that thing to be food.
Yeah. Much less a Slim Jim.
Quote food.
A cylinder of processed meat.
I do like Processed by the Boys, obligatory proto-martyr joke.
Thank you.
We're a music podcast.
Yes. Listen to Ultimate Success today.
Go listen to Ultimate Success today. Yeah, you don't expect a long cylinder of processed meat to land on your foot. No. A phallus.
I wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah. And then, so I just had that.
Yeah.
I'm just holding that.
Yeah, and then when we saw my boys, as I've mentioned, Nordista Freeze, big shout out, awesome set there too.
They were fucking crazy.
They were
there was a moment
awesome.
where Freeze like disappeared off stage and then like reappeared
on
like,
top of a shipping car, like a shipping car.
I think it was a building.
Yeah.
So the venue that we saw Savannah Stopover, we probably should have led with this.
Yeah.
Was the Georgia State Railroad Museum, which is it's cool.
It's very cool.
I did not actually go inside the museum, but we saw all their outdoor stuff, which was very neat. So they have like an old like 1900s train yard with like a big turntable with a giant train car on it, and there's all like it's a historical train yard that's been like kind of ruined, but they have all like information and stuff. There's like a preserved blacksmith's shop. It was cool.
So they had their show at the paint shop stage.
Yes.
Which was the indoor area with like huge doors where they would bring in the cars to paint them. So there's just a lot of space. And the funny thing too is that there are rails on the floor. Yep. And so you're moshing and you're losing your footing because you're stepping on a massive iron rail. Yeah.
It was great.
So there was just like train cars and like various parts just everywhere. And so to the side there were, I think, storage containers that were like the size of like 2-story buildings.
Yeah, they were large.
Yeah, over to the side. And so Freeze disappears off stage. We're like, where the hell is he? We're all moshing, doing our thing. And then we look over and like, if this was a theater production, there would have been like a quick turn and the light would have focused on him. And he's standing there like in all of his glory, flourishing on top of this cart.
I will say,
takes his hands and rips his shirt in two.
I was going to say, I think by this point he had already lost most of his clothes.
Yeah, he had already lost most of his clothes. I think that was when he tore his shirt. And then he was just in boxers. It was
so good.
Yeah.
Shout out Freeze also just for like being the kind of band to like Freeze would charge off stage and start a pit himself before getting back on stage. Like, shout out for that, because this was generally a pretty tame crowd, I think. Like, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
but
they were
like,
just kind of old.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, it's Savannah, Georgia. Shout out to all our old listeners. You guys
rule. We love
rule.
you, old people.
We love you, and please keep doing your thing at shows. But
elderly people over 30.
Literally, Freeze, like, being willing to start a pit in this crowd that was like, it
awesome.
was so good. Like I was kind of waiting for something like that to happen because I was sort of thinking it would happen with Dead Tooth, but it didn't.
Yeah.
And then Freeze just like went ape shit. It was great.
Yeah, and all of the backing band, all of them were doing great on all their instruments. Like they all had like their soloing moments, and that was really fun. It was just a super involved show. And so at one point, Freeze plays this song Quiplash, where it's just him like bragging about how he won 2 games of Quiplash. Not one, but 2.
Twice.
Yes.
He won Quiplash twice.
Then he went and won Quiplash twice. And so he's playing that one, and that song is like very heavily auto-tuned. And so then he finishes the set, and he's standing there on stage, and he goes, "What, you cowards? You're not going to throw anything at me? Come on, throw something." And then he nobody throws anything. We're all just kind of laughing. And then he turns around. And at this point, Sophie and I didn't know that we were at the same set.
Yes, we got separated. I was trying to see Anjimali, who Anjimali's awesome if you don't know their work. They're like a folk pop rock artist. Please go check out Anjimali. Their stuff is amazing. And they pulled out. They weren't there. So I was like standing there watching like 10 minutes of some other set. I was like, wait. They're not coming out.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I guess I'll go to the thing Megan is at.
Yeah.
And we had like lost track of each other like hours
Various
ago at
times,
this point.
yeah.
And so I'm standing there with my bag and he's like, "Come on, aren't you going to boo and throw shit at me?" And nobody's throwing anything. And so I pull the Slim Jim out of my bag and I turn to the person next to me and I say, "Should I throw this?" And it was Megan. Like we had completely lost track of each other. And I pull out a Slim Jim and I turn directly to my right to just some random person and I say, "Should I throw this Slim Jim at the band?"
And I make eye
who's on stage
contact
right
with
now?
Sophie and I go, "Yes." It was the most surreal moment of the festival.
So fucking funny. Megan was like, where have you been? I was like, I don't fucking know.
And then I was like, "Chuck it."
So I did.
And then that started everybody else throwing stuff too.
So I threw the first brick at Stonewall anyway.
I literally was about to say you threw the first Slim Jim at Northeast to Freeze. Like that is your moment.
After the show, who was that guy?
Who was who?
The person who handed the fucking Slim Jim back to me. Who was that? Was he with you? Was he with the band?
I think I was backstage at the time. And then I come back out and you're holding it again. And I was like, "You got it back?"
Some guy handed it back to me. He was like, "Here's your Slim Jim." I was like, "Thanks." I think I slapped him on the ass with it. Which I felt bad about like 5 seconds later, but I hope he took it in stride. So that guy, if you're listening,
that guy.
I want to formally apologize to you for slapping your ass with a Slim Jim while mildly inebriated. I really want to apologize for that.
Oh, that's so funny.
That was wrong of me.
I think he probably felt it was right.
I hope. If you're trying with Nordista Freeze, I think.
Yeah. Dude,
I think that's the vibe a little bit.
Once again, big. So like I said, I volunteered and I was hanging out in hospitality and just kind of giving tours. And so I ended up kind of like getting adopted by Freeze and company. I was just hanging out with them pretty much the whole time.
There are worse people to be legally adopted by.
For sure. Them and also Daniel Donato's group. I was kind of hanging out with them, and also shout out Chipper Bones and Joshy Drop, hanging out with them. But primarily I was with Freeze. And so at the end of day 1, I was like, "Oh shit, like I have to get an Uber." And their manager, Tyler, was just like, "Do you want us to take you home?" And I was like,
"Take me home tonight."
Yeah, so I got that. And so I pile into their van, and we were driving, and we get to Victory Village, to my dorm. And they go, "Do you want to go to Fancy Parker's?" I was like, "Of course I want to go to Fancy Parker's. Why would I not want to go to Fancy Parker's?"
Are they Savannah native?
No, they just heard of it. They
just heard legends of Fancy Parker's.
Which is fair because Fancy Parker's is like a different realm.
Fancy Parker's is one of the most batshit things that exists in
yeah,
Savannah,
it's
Georgia.
crazy. So Fancy Parker's is a gas station.
Parker's is a gas station chain
Yes.
around here. It's just like a fucking gas station you can go to and get snacks and whatever.
Yeah, but Fancy Parker's has like a restaurant in it. Like not a restaurant,
quote,
like for it's high class for a
you can get shitty fried chicken.
Yeah, and then you can also get like homewares.
Yeah, like bad
There's like
home decor.
pillows in the front.
A well-stocked liquor section. It's surreal because like on the outside it's just like you pull up to the gas pump and you pump your gas and you go inside and it's like if HGTV owned
a gas station. Yeah.
It's so funny.
It's really weird.
Absolute. It's pointless too is the other thing. Like there's no reason for them to do this.
Yeah. So I've had a lot of like misadventures in there. I just tend to go in and experience things. Like the world happens at you when you're at Fancy Parker's.
100%.
And so I'm in there and I get my second meal for the day, which what I had that day was a single apple in hospitality for the entire like 12 hours that I was out.
Meal.
And then I got a
very generous application of the word meal.
Yeah, so I had an apple. And then when I got to Fancy Parker's, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm pescatarian. I don't trust their tuna. They have nothing else for me. So what I got was a
hot chips.
Hot chips. I did not get me some hot chips and a cool drink. Took a sandy seat on the shore. I just got a chocolate fudge parfait, and that was my second meal of the day. And so as we're leaving,
you're like living the college lifestyle while working a job.
Yeah,
like, that's what's going on.
Yeah,
here.
I mean, I wasn't even getting paid, so they were like, "Are you off the clock?" I was like, "Guys, I'm not getting paid. I can do anything. I can go anywhere." So, first of all, God bless S. Grant Parker, chess master, who was also in that group. He just goes, "Yum check." I've been saying fucking yum check ever since.
Isn't Yum Check that bitch from Dragon Ball Z? That's the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard. I have to start saying that.
Yeah, so I'm
Yum
like,
check.
he's eating like the ghost pepper like chicken sandwich, and he goes yum check, and then takes a bite, and it was the most like Vine moment I've seen in 2022.
Really quick diatribe, but that reminds me of the time, and this doesn't have to be in the final podcast if you don't want it to be, but I visited the lovely eating establishment in Savannah a few years ago known as Betty Bombers.
Okay, I don't know this.
Well, I don't go there because it scares me. It's inside the American Legion, so it's all like old veterans that are usually in there.
Ooh.
And it's all decorated with like World War II memorabilia and like guns on the walls, and all the waitresses are dressed up like 50s waitresses.
That's like going into a ski lodge and just seeing animal heads on the wall. I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, if the animal heads were probably transphobic.
Okay.
So
you press a button and it calls you a slur.
God. Yeah, so they have a burger that has Carolina Reaper peppers on it.
Okay.
It's like Carolina Reaper pepper jam because the place where they grow those is like actually like really close to here.
Okay.
And it's the hottest pepper in the world.
Yeah.
And I ordered it because I'm fucking stupid. Mm-hmm. And I ate it and was enjoying it. And then the spice, it was spicy. Yes, it was very spicy.
Mm-hmm.
But once I finished it, it didn't stop. Like it was just like, like after I had finished eating the burger, my mouth was still getting spicier.
Okay.
And I have a very distinct memory of stopping outside. We were about to take the bus home.
Mm-hmm.
It was me and my roommate, my friend Gracie. And I was like, guys, I need to stop in the fashion building because the Scad Fash building, because I need water like right now. I'm gonna
desperately.
die. Yeah, I'm like seriously dying. Like I'm sweating. I'm sure I looked like I was like red. And so I'm like, and I bust into the fashion building and I'm wearing like a white t-shirt and shorts and I had sauce all down my shirt and my face was blank white except for my lips, which were bright red because of the sauce. And I'm looking around, and this is the fashion building, and it's all these beautiful people in spectacular outfits. And I go, where's the bathroom? And I'm in the bathroom of the Scad Fashion building, like filling my hands up with water in the sink and drinking it. like mortifying ordeal.
You must have looked like the most
Ronald McDonald is what I looked like.
Just a train wreck of a mime walking there with like sauce dripping down your shirt.
It was so bad.
God,
it was
that's
so
funny.
bad. So that doesn't have to be in the podcast, but
I'm keeping it. That's
okay.
funny. But so Grant was in there, and he was like,
that was not a yum check. Don't do that.
No, okay, but he had a yum check, and he was like, well, first of all, he said that it wasn't even that spicy. He said that it was spicy enough, but it wasn't like crazy. So ever since then, I've been saying yum check. But when we were leaving, I ended up seeing a girl named Olivia from my Design 105 class.
Shout out Olivia if you're listening.
Shout out Olivia. Let it be known I had not spoken a sentence, not a word, nay, a syllable to Olivia in my life.
Okay.
And I look over and I go, oh, that's Olivia. She's from my design class. The band rolls down their windows and goes, design class, woo! And they start fucking cheering for her as we're leaving. And she's sitting there with her friend and she looks bewildered. She looks absolutely baffled and like a pinned animal. And she's...
That's the thing. That's exactly the energy they had on stage.
Yes,
like,
it did not stop. That's just who they were as people.
Just do shit.
Yeah. And so, but Freeze, God bless his heart. Freeze is a very sweet man. He's sitting there and he goes, guys, stop. Please stop. He's so uncomfortable. He thinks that we're torturing this girl. He looks absolutely like he looks more terrified than she does. And so she sees me in the back seat and I'm like waving at her like frantically. And I'm like, please,
something.
this is me. Like, I promise there's somebody in here, you know. And then as we're leaving, Freeze is like, I can't believe you guys did that. And I was like, I'll apologize to her. Don't worry, man. And then they bring me to the dorm and we're driving behind an Uber and the Uber stops and who
Olivia
gets out but Olivia?
Oh my fucking God.
And they go, is that? And I go, oh no. They start cheering for her again. And she's standing on the sidewalk outside of Victory 2. And she's just like, what? Are you following me? Like, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, at this point, I'm not even waving. I'm just like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm mouthing sorry to her. And Freeze is like on the verge of tears. He is horrified. And Olivia, I saw her on the last day of class as we're leaving. And I just go, hey, I just feel a need to like explain to you what happened. Like, I'm sorry. And she was like, oh, okay. Like, thank you for the closure. Like,
I was hoping that this podcast would be the closure for her.
No.
That you just ghosted her after that and she would have to like tune into SCAD radio.
No, thank God. I was able to tell her. And I talked to Freeze like yesterday and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, like I
cornered Olivia.
No, I told design class that like what was happening and I apologized to her and he goes, oh, thank God. I go, yeah, you can sleep soundly at night now. He's like, for real. So that was a very funny way to end day one.
That's very funny.
Yeah. Sasami too.
I was just about to pivot, like before we move into our records for this week. You talk a little bit about Sasami.
Yeah.
What it was like seeing those songs live.
So I
only had tickets for one day because I'm broke.
So Sophie was at day 2, which was when Dead Tooth and Freeze and Soccer Mommy were playing. But I was also there for day 1 when Sasami was the one headlining. I also saw Of Montreal that day.
What'd you think? I've seen them too. They're great.
It was a little underwhelming, honestly.
Oh.
I didn't stay for the second half of the set, which was when I heard it got much better.
Yeah.
But the first half was like really boring.
Kevin does apeshit stuff in... Like, I saw him headline Stopover like 3-4 years ago. And they had like, I'm surprised that you said there wasn't a lot going on because they had
set pieces and stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't that there wasn't a lot going on. It was just that musically it was kind of like I could be seeing more exciting acts right now.
Okay. Are you into It, Montreal?
Not super.
Okay.
I have yet to listen to a full album of theirs though.
Okay. You should check out
I'm gonna look at the one with the big cherry on the cover.
I don't remember which one that is. They have like 50 fucking albums.
Let me look up the name for you. And you can talk about how you saw them.
The one so I saw them headline Stopover a while ago. I thought they were great. They brought out like a fucking giant mechanical possum suit that had like 8 people in it, and it was like running around and opening its mouth while Kevin was doing I don't remember the names. Their songs are impossible to remember the names of because they're all shit like Heimdall's Gate, like a Promethean curse. You want me to remember a full discog of that? Fuck you.
That's very funny.
I think it actually may have been Heimdall's Gate, like a Promethean curse, which is funny. But yeah, they were like, he was like, I have not heard that one. Cherry Peel.
That's the one that I've heard the most about, and the other one is Hissing Fauna, Are You the
That's
Destroyer?
the one that I know. Yeah, that one's really good.
Their big one.
Yeah, that one's really good.
So I'm planning on those two.
The Sunlandic Twins is the other one that I really like.
Oh, okay.
Their newer stuff is not as good at all.
Maybe he was playing all the new stuff before. And I think that was actually what I heard said, was that he was playing all of the newer stuff before, and then second half was all the hits.
I see. Yeah, I didn't like their last couple records at all.
Yeah.
And I guess I did see them before those came out.
Yeah.
So maybe I just lucked
you
out.
just got a good one.
I just got a good one. That was an awesome stopover, though. That was probably the best one. I saw of Montreal, and Faye Webster was there.
Oh, cool.
And Gus Dapperton was there.
Oh, wow.
That was fun.
Seems like fun, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So after him, I saw Sasami, and Sasami was fucking incredible. Like, probably one of my favorite, definitely one of the best sets there, because she did a similar thing to Freeze where she got the crowd really involved.
Okay.
So I was in the front row with Alex Holmes and Haley.
Shout out.
Yes, shout out. Those are our music director. Haley is our music director for radio, and Alex is the previous content director.
I hung out with them for Christine Leshber.
Yes, they're awesome. So I was there with both of them, and thank God Alex is a mosher like me and wasn't a Sasami enthusiast. So we were like making pits and like having fun and pushing people around. And Sasami was like, "Are you my little demons?" And we were like, "Yeah, we're your little demons." Like, I was like reaching out and like putting my hands up, and I was in the very front row. It was an awesome, awesome show.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and she sounded amazing. Better than recorded, I think.
Yeah.
Because the bass was there, which is what was really missing, like we talked about last week on the record. So it was heavy. Her stage presence was awesome. She was deranged. Like the AMA, yes. So she did an Indie Heads AMA right before the show where she was just responding and hissing at people.
So fucking funny. If you have a second and you're into Sasami, you should go read the AMA she did for r/Indie Heads. It
very
is
funny.
Hysterical. She is just fucking insane.
She chooses to answer only the questions that are completely mundane about like what her favorite food is and shit. And then the stuff about the record, she's like
literally hissing at people online. It's amazing.
Very
it's
funny.
so good.
So that definitely was an accurate primer for what the show was like.
I was gonna ask.
Yes, she was bonkers. And then it was really funny. We went backstage afterwards to see if I could get her contact info. And she was like, "Oh, hi." Like, she was just completely normal. And I was like, "Oh my God, this is great." So that was an awesome, awesome set. If you're ever in the area and you see that Sasami's playing a show, even if you're not super into her, totally recommend. Just an awesome live experience in general. So yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Successful Savannah Stopover.
Highly successful.
Overall.
Very fun.
Oh, also, I just want to say, if anybody from Savannah Stopover is listening, this venue was really good.
Yes.
I thought it was awesome. I thought it was way better than Ships of the Sea. So if you guys can get this, again, like 100%, this is the best venue that Stopover has been in.
Yeah.
When the sun went down and they projected Stopover on the
Very
big
cool,
smokestack,
right?
that was awesome.
Yeah.
There's like a huge smokestack at the center of the railroad station, and they projected the word Stopover vertically on it when the sun went down. It was great. It was such a nice touch.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, the venue was also a big hit with all the artists.
Yeah.
Because the acoustics were really nice.
Yeah. I was gonna say the acoustics are really good, and the filtering between the stages were
you did not bleed.
far apart. There was zero bleed, which I was kind of worried about when I saw them.
It was great.
Yeah. It was really good.
Really good. And also when I was giving everybody tours, it was so cute. All the artists were like, "This is so cool. Like, I'm so honored to be playing here. This is awesome."
That's awesome.
So it was really sweet. Yeah, definitely. If we can nab that one again, that would be great. I think I'll definitely be volunteering every year because
Hell yeah.
I didn't have any trouble getting my finals done too, which was really good. If anything, it was a motivator to get them done early, because I was like, I just want to be able to work stress free. Although I did turn in an essay from the audience on day 2.
Nice.
It was very funny. Yeah.
Which set were you in?
I was watching. God, who was I watching? I don't think I was very invested in the band that was playing. I was just kind of walking around.
They would want you to stay in school though.
Yeah,
so.
and so I was on my phone, and I was like, oh fuck, like I gotta turn in an essay. And I remembered like 15 minutes before the due date.
Oh god.
So I just had to go in, and I like figured out how to save it as a file. It was kind of a mess, but I got it all turned in. It was fine. I got a 95 on the essay. So
that's good. That's because you turned it in the pit.
Yeah, my professor was like, "This is really good, like great points, really well written." I was like, "If only you knew where I turned this in from."
Guy in mosh pit, just like getting slammed around. Like, no, hold on, I
have to put it in Blackboard.
I have to type my password.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun.
Yes, it's a very successful stopover this year.
Super duper. Recommend it if you're local. All right, so we're going to start out with the albums now.
Let's go.
Let's fucking go. So we're going to start out with something that I was not looking forward to listen to and actually got quite a bit out of, which is Rosalia, Motomami. Motomami.
She said that on the album
she did,
a whole bunch of times.
Like a whole bunch of times.
Yeah. This was cool.
It was shocking.
Yeah.
Not at all what I expected.
So I have heard her past album, the name of which I can't remember.
Yeah.
And I really liked the single Malamente. It's a great song. But the rest of it didn't really stick with me, just like because it's not really my genre.
Yeah.
She has a lovely voice. She is
beautiful.
A very, very good singer. And I found this record was really all over the place in a way that I liked a lot.
Yeah,
and
I did
let
too.
her flex that vocal talent in very unexpected ways.
Yeah, it was super PC. Like not a lot of it. It didn't. I mean, it felt cohesive in the sense that it is an album, but it didn't feel like, oh, if you listen to this out of order, you're going to be like jarred or whatever.
Oh yeah. I was jarred listening to it in order. It was made to be jarring.
Yeah, exactly. So it was definitely an interesting experience.
Arca was involved in some of the production on this record.
I also saw, I mean, there's a very weird and kind of out of place James Blake feature.
I didn't notice him.
Yeah, he's in there.
Was he credited on Spotify?
Yeah, he was. He was credited, he might not have been on Spotify. I don't know, on Apple Music he was.
I missed that.
And then there was also a Pharrell credit.
Yep,
which was interesting. So there's definitely a lot of big people across this. Which song was James Blake on? I don't remember.
That's a bit of a pivot for her too, because in the space between this album and her last one, because the last record is pretty much, she got her start pretty much as a straight up flamenco pop artist.
Yeah.
And on this one, she's embracing like simultaneously more mainstream reggaeton and pop influences at the same time as she's embracing all these like wild experimental
kind of industrial,
a little bit at points. Yeah. This is, and we'll talk about this later, this is kind of the lane I wish Charli XCX would go.
Yeah, me too.
Like straddling experimental and mainstream instead of like
flopping between them.
Like failing to pick one, like really keeping a foot in both worlds.
So I'm curious which tracks stood out to you in particular.
I have a whole bunch of favorite tracks, but I also have a whole bunch of least favorite tracks.
Okay.
So I came away positive on this album. I really like this direction for her.
Yeah.
I think it's a little scattered.
Yeah.
Which works to its favor broadly, but also like it's scattered. Like there's some misses. So my favorite tracks were Hentai, which when she dropped that as a single and it was called a Hentai, I was like, what the fuck is this going to be?
And then it was a fucking piano ballad.
Yeah. And then it's a lovely piano ballad, by the way. It is absolutely gorgeous. Which the lyrics are really horny, obviously, like super sexually charged, but like beautifully sung, super well performed. And then midway through, it just like breaks and there's all this like glitchy, like really glitchy electronic noise coming in to like distort her vocals and the piano and like just like laying on top of it. If you are into Arca's this was not a track Arca produced, which I was very surprised about because it really has her fingerprints all over it. If you like any of Arca's slower work, like any of her stuff from her self-titled, you will love this. This is like right in that lane. I really liked Candy. That one just had a really nice melody and was really catchy. La Fama has grown on me so hard since that one dropped. I was not super, for some reason I just wasn't into that one when it dropped. But The Weeknd on that one, they've got a lot of vocal chemistry. I thought that worked really well.
I just don't like The Weeknd.
That's fair, but I think it's totally fair to not like this song just because he's not what you're into.
Yeah.
But I think
I can definitely acknowledge it.
He slots much more naturally into this kind of music than I anticipated.
Yeah, I can see that.
He feels pretty natural in it. He has a warmth to his voice, I think, that fits this style well. And I would love to hear a Latin singer with his vocal tone sort of break into the mainstream doing stuff more like this. Like somebody, not him, but somebody else with a voice like this.
Please not him.
I really liked, I'm going to mangle this word. I'm so sorry. Bulerías, which is not the kind of thing I would listen to casually, but her vocal performance on there is really cool. I just think it's a neat experiment, like the control and strategic use of autotune. With this very it's like a streetwise community. It sounds like people on the street like dancing and singing, but like she's pulled into autotune and there's like electronic like flourishes all through it. I thought that was just very neat.
Yeah.
I really liked Delirio de Grandaza, which again, like really traditional Latin music elements, like very old school elements, and then sample Soulja Boy halfway through. Like
so weird, but
awesome.
I like it.
And then La Combi Versace.
Yeah.
I love Tokisha. She's so cool.
Yeah.
She's so cool. I was really excited to hear that. That was the track when I saw the track list. I was like, oh, that one's going to go hard. Because I think Tokisha and Rosalia are two of the people that are like really like trying hard to push mainstream Latin pop in like crazy ass directions. She's insane. I love Tokisha. She's fucking insane. I don't think that went as hard or got as experimental as it could have. Yeah. But it is a banger.
Yeah.
Their vocal chemistry is really good too.
So I was a little bit more picky, I guess, with my favorites, just because I am generally not a reggaeton fan. So you will notice that my favorites are basically all of the non-reggaeton songs.
I'm not a reggaeton fan for the most part either. It's just not my thing.
So I liked Saoko. I liked G3 and 15.
Oh, I wasn't into that one.
I liked that one more than Hentai. I thought that I preferred it in the piano ballad slot.
I wasn't not into G3 and 15. I thought it was fine. It just didn't grab me.
Yeah, that was how Hentai was for me. So I think it's just kind of different appeals. I like Bulerías as well, and Delirio de Grandeza.
Yeah,
that one's awesome. I really, really enjoyed Bulerías. That song's
that's a really cool song.
It's a really cool song. I really preferred a lot of the stuff that really leaned into being non-traditional. But also pulling on traditional aspects.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought were super, super strong.
Am I insane for wanting to compare Bulerías to Good Morning Red from last week?
I saw it. Yeah. No, I can see it. I honestly, when I was listening to this, I was like,
That's Good Morning Red by Caroline.
Yes, I was getting the same word popping into my head as I did with that album, which is sparse.
Yeah.
This is, as far as pop, for sure, is a markedly sparser approach than a lot of other artists would do.
That's the thing. This record is going directly to a pop audience at the moment. Like, this is... I admired the fuck out of that, of this record. Like, if nothing else, like...
It definitely was not what I expected. And if I had heard this as, like, a kid and was only into pop, like her... it would have turned me on my head. So I think that it's a really interesting paradigm kind of shift for the genre. And if it takes off, that means a lot for the future of Latin pop, I think.
This is Rosalia at like the height of her career, so far right now. This is the most anticipated thing she's dropped. This has the biggest names on it. This is like the pinnacle of the expectations for her right now. Like if she were any other artist, this would be the point where she would drop something with mass appeal, with like a lot of like money and like in the sound.
Yeah.
And she has chosen to take a total left turn.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just on principle, I'm so here for that.
Super cool of her.
Yeah, hopefully she keeps it up. Like
Hopefully,
I
yeah.
would love to hear another album like this. I was not so my biggest issue with this record is that her vocals are like very front and center, which is a good thing because they're awesome. But on certain songs, and I actually said G3N15 for this, where you might expect her vocals, like when she's doing runs or like holding long notes, to interplay more with a backing track to like let the emotional impact hit you. It just kind of doesn't. Like it just leaves her sounding pretty, but kind of in like a bit of a vacuum on some tracks.
I thought that was kind of interesting, and I liked it, which is probably why I like G3N15.
Yeah,
because it makes it feel very alien, which that's not something that I've really ever heard approached on a mainstream pop record like this, because I think that a lot of the time pop will tend to lean into like a false warmth, or like a pseudo personability or like congeniality. But this one definitely fully, I think that this is sort of her embracing the fact that she is separate from society, and she is a celebrity. So I think that coldness is more just introspection or introversion. And I felt that it had kind of a really nice honesty to it. And I might be reading too much into that presentation, but I really liked it for that. I thought that it felt human in a very interesting way.
I will bring up the cover art with that as well.
Definitely, the helmet.
Yeah, her silhouette on the cover is very weird. Like just the way she's portrayed here is odd.
Yeah. I think it's definitely the fact that her face is cut off.
Yeah.
And it almost is like, it reminds me in silhouette of the Scream.
A little bit, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Because like with the way her hair is, like her hair is very large, like it's taken to the side very large and almost like wing shapes. And then she's wearing a giant motorcycle helmet, and there's like text, like difficult to read, like strange alien font text of the album title, like plastered over her, and she's naked, obviously. So like it feels very vulnerable, but at the same time very like
dominant,
impersonal. Yeah, it's neat.
Yeah, I think I was looking at the cover like intently the whole time that I was listening to this.
Are you sure you're not gay? Are you sure? Are you sure?
I knew that was coming, but it's not because, well, it is because it's eye-catching, obviously, to see somebody that naked, but also because I was combing over the text design, that the like motomami itself is like, it's very cool. It's really cool.
It's very cool.
And I like the
butterflies.
I love the effect on it too. And just she looks domineering in a really interesting way. And I think it would be super easy for her, because she is butt ass naked, to look a little bit like you said, vulnerable, but not in like the admirable way that we are seeing her as on the album, in like sort of the like feminine what's the word, like
coquettish, like,
yes, like out of control, like not out of control in like a crazy way, but she is unable to take control. I think that sometimes nudity on covers can feel that way, and a lot of the time those albums tend to be like emotional ballads or something, like laid bare in that sense. But I think that the barrenness of the album combined with that cover is a super, super interesting choice. So like artistically, this is a super interesting record.
I think the first word that comes to my mind to describe the whole thing is it's very precise.
Yeah.
Everything about it is
it's like surgical.
Yeah, that's also a really good word. Like it sounds surgical.
Yeah. I will say the only thing that I didn't love, if you know me at all, you will be able to predict what I'm about to say. It's that there's no drum kit. It's just the reggaeton beat. And some moments, like in I believe it was Bladee, yes, where there is like that like the bongo at the front. I was like, oh my god, like human activity holding drums. I was so excited.
I didn't know about this about you. I know you've a self-professed drum whore.
Yes.
Are you anti-drum machine generally?
No, I
in
love
music
drum
like this?
machines.
Oh, okay.
But it's just the fact that it's the same beat over and over.
I see.
But like people I think people have used drum machines in super, super interesting ways.
Yeah.
Like first example that comes to mind is Steve Albini. Just Big Black only used a drum machine. That was for the purpose of not having to pay to transport a drum kit, which is funny. But the way that they use that, it really lends itself to the really harsh music that they make. But other people use it in really soft ways. I think that a kit and a drum machine have their place, and I could definitely see the case for this needing to have a drum machine for that surgical precision. Like we were saying. But I found the reggaeton beat distracted a lot from the experimental activities going on the album, because I was like, okay, you're clinging to this and you want to stay in this genre, but you are trying so hard to push out of other ones.
You should check out, do you know much Arca? Because I feel bad for coming back to the Arca comparison over and over again, but like do you know any Arca?
I know some, but I was waiting for all the kicks to come out, and then there was 5 of them, and now I'm intimidated.
You should check out Kick 2.
Okay.
I think is because that one, I think, better than this record, because they are going for similar things.
Yeah.
Rosalia is definitely taking it in more of a pop direction, which, like, I'm the pop head. That's not a bad thing. I think Arca on that record does really interesting things with making the reggaeton itself sound experimental, rather than like applying experimental filters to more pop-oriented reggaeton.
Because I saw there were some moments where I was almost a little irked because it was just the reggaeton beat, and then she would do something like removing one of the beats, like from the middle of it or something, and I'm like, that doesn't make it not. Yeah. Like, it doesn't make it more interesting. If anything, it just makes it distracting.
Go listen to Ep3 by Arca. That song goes so hard.
I've been meaning to listen to Arca, so I definitely will.
You should. My least favorite tracks on this album, I would say, while we're in this downcast space, were Teriyaki.
Yeah, I didn't like that one very much.
Which has funny lyrics, and she's pretty charismatic on it, but it has a pretty repetitive beat. Yeah. And a pretty annoying delivery on the hook. Chicken teriyaki. I don't know. I was just annoyed by it. I actually didn't like the title track where she was just saying motomami a billion times.
I didn't really like that one either.
I found it very irritating. And then Q.
Yeah, I did not like that one at all.
That one kind of exemplified, like, to me at least, that is the all over the placeness of this record. The bad side of the all over the placeness of this record. Just like personified. There's not a consistency to that song at all, and the hook is really annoying.
To me, it just felt cheap.
It's just like pivoting between 5 different things, and none of them are like that interesting. It's like selling you on the fact that it's pivoting as the point of the track, but it's just not.
It felt like a demo collection, like just stitched together with like very. Even though I can't understand most of the lyrics, they sounded like nothing.
So actually, before we head on to our next record, I actually did just want to say about the lyrics on this record. I went and I looked through the whole like English translation to the lyrics of this, and I think it is worth mentioning that there are some very weird lyrical moments on this album that I'm not super fond of. There is a general repeated and casual use of like various Asian cultures as an exotifier.
Dude, yeah. I didn't like the last song, Sakura, at all.
So, yeah, there's Sakura, there's hentai, there's teriyaki, and there's like a couple other like nods here and there.
Yeah, I believe Saoko is a Japanese
Saoko
word
too,
as well.
yeah. And I'm going to say coupled with the motorcycle helmet on the cover, which is giving me Akira, which is giving me heavy Akira.
Yeah, and she references Kawasaki a lot.
Yeah, it's not great. It is very.
I noticed that too, and I was like, "Why?"
Yeah, it's not great. It's very like exotifying and like
fetishizing.
A little bit. I was gonna say it's mostly not sexual until it is.
Yeah. Well, the word using the word hentai.
She says the line in the song is, "I want to make a hentai with you."
Yeah.
which would be fine if it was the only thing on the album, like doing anything in that range, and it is not. There is also a twice repeated line. She says it on 2 different songs about transforming like a drag queen, which I don't love coming from a straight woman. It reeks of cishet RuPaul's Drag Race viewer culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I can look past it once, but she does the same line on 2 different songs. She says it once
she's like, this one hits.
Yeah, she says it's like Jaden Smith using the line about dirty dishes twice.
Yeah, making the same album twice.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not great. And this is a much smaller thing because I'm all for making fun of the British royalty, but there is a bizarre line on one song where she says she's like doing like things about how she's like drunk, and she's like saying different, or I don't even think that was it, but she just inserts a line about I'm crashed like Lady Di, which is so fucking funny. Like, that's hilarious. I'd be down
that
for
is funny, but that's out of pocket.
So out of nowhere. Like, it does nothing to do with the tone of the rest of the song. Like, crashed like Lady Di, and I'm like, whoa, sure. But,
all right.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know. I just had some issues with some like weird recurring lyrical themes on this record.
Yeah.
But I did overall like this. I don't want to come down too hard on this record because I did really like it overall. I think this is a really cool direction for her to go. And I think she could spring in a lot of directions off the back of this going forward.
Definitely an interesting album, and for sure like a cultural moment to make yourself aware of.
Oh, yeah.
Because I do think that this will probably... I don't know if this album in particular will go down as like a moment, but I think that the cultural impact that it's going to have will, and I think that Rosalia as an artist for sure will. And so if you're not aware, make yourself aware.
I think this album is definitely for sure a landmark in her catalog.
Definitely.
Like, at the very least, like shit's going to be different. Like, expectations of her are going to be very different after this.
Definitely.
For whatever she does next.
And with that, we can get started on our next album.
Let's pivot.
Which is going to be Benny the Butcher, Tana Talk 4.
I liked this one, generally. I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was also just pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that actually it was more kind of just good. I didn't really feel a whole lot about it. I found myself getting... So part of my gripe with rap before I got into rap was that with the beats, I was not getting enough out of the instrumentals, and I tended to get bored and kind of just not be paying attention to any of the lyrics or flow. Nothing was grabbing me. It was just sort of like, I felt like, oh, I liked this beat for a minute and now it's been 4 and I'm bored. And that sort of happened to me on this album. There wasn't really enough happening instrumentally a lot of the time to keep me really engaged. There were a few songs that I thought were good. Yep. But I also didn't think that his delivery was super emotional or convincing. It just sort of felt like I'm here and I'm rapping. It didn't feel like there was any moments, really. I
like his delivery a lot. He is very like... So this record is very in his bag. Like, this is directly in his wheelhouse. Okay. So I'm going to compare this to God Don't Make Mistakes.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
From our last episode. So this is... very much like back in the Griselda basic wheelhouse. Not basic, but like this is the Griselda wheelhouse. Like, this is what
the bread and butter.
The bread and yes, that's exact. Yeah, bread and butter. This is what got Benny big. This is the kind of thing that I think he can fart these tracks out with no like he's very comfortable here. Like this is directly in his lane. And his last project, Burden of Proof, which I really liked, was a very like super slick, very cleanly produced. Like, they made a point of like very, very like smooth as butter, like late 2000s, early 2010s kind of throwback. And this is back in the Tana Talk series, which is like his bread and butter mixtape series. So this is definitely kind of like a return to form. Okay. And if you're expecting something like God Don't Make Mistakes, like after your first Griselda project, I can definitely see how this would be like it's not as good as that album at all.
Yeah.
It's a pretty solid project, I think, though. I really like the beats, honestly. I thought they were mostly really good.
There was one that I don't really even remember the beat that much, but one that I found particularly disappointing, I think just because of God Don't Make Mistakes, was Tyson vs. Ali, because even Conway sounded a little bit sedated on it. He did not have the same like hungry kind of delivery that he sounded like he did on God Don't Make Mistakes. I also just kind of found the hook boring.
I'll say that on a pure like lyrical delivery beat level, Tyson vs. Ali was one I did not care about at all. Like it was just not for me. I thought it was mixed really badly.
Yeah.
There were some really weird mix issues
it
on Benny's
very
vocals on that song.
amateurish, which was kind of something I didn't like.
He sounded off. Like he didn't sound like he was like it was not the best mic quality or something. Like the mixing was not. It wasn't good.
Not up to par.
Yeah, which is weird because that's kind of out of place on this record, which I
Yeah.
thought was generally pretty professional
tight.
sounding. Obviously.
Yeah.
My other gripe with the record is that he doesn't. You're right that he doesn't sound hungry.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily view that as a bad thing because like he's established now. Like this is like Benny is now like definitely the top in this field of rap. Like he's at the very top, and I think it's okay for him to sound like in his bag, in his lane. But I think that works to his advantage for most of the album. But I also think that this record, after a point, and that point is Uncle Bun, he just starts coasting.
Yeah.
Like after that point, the last like 4 tracks or so are just like very standard Griselda. Like he just kind of is like very like he's spinning his wheels at the end of this album, I think. But I did like Johnny P's Caddy.
Okay.
J. Cole impressed me on this one. I'm not a Cole enjoyer.
Yeah, neither am I.
But I really liked his verse. I just thought like, especially the very opening of it, I thought it just was really super good. Like just a nice flow, a cool lyrical concept. The part was like, of course I'm trying to revive a sport that's dying, but the guns and drug bars that y'all rely on got these nerds thinking that y'all hard as I am, but that just mean I ain't as comfortable as y'all with lying.
Yeah.
I just thought that was just a cool line.
Yeah.
This is a really good album intro. I thought Benny's verse wasn't anything like crazy, but it's like a very like reacquainting you into his world and what his music sounds like. Yeah.
I think that, I mean, I had a very bare bones take on this one, just because I was struggling to become engaged with it. It just really wasn't grabbing me. But I will say that I enjoyed the song Weekend at the Perry's.
Yes, that was my favorite track as well.
That's a really good track.
Do you know about Boldy James?
No, I don't know any context about this album.
Okay, Boldy James is a relatively recent Griselda signee. I think he just signed like 2 years ago, but he's been like an active rapper for like well over a decade now. Okay. I fucking love him. He's got like he is very, I want to use the word monotone, but like in a good way. Yeah. Like he's very
like dry cleaning monotone.
So controlled, I guess is what I will say. Very measured, very controlled. And very frank is the other word I would use to describe Boldy James. Like he's very, very, very frank. And that doesn't mean he's not like flowery or like poetic, because he often is. But like when he says stuff like, there's a line he says where he's like, feel like I've been betrayed by my silhouette. Yeah. Which is a dope line. Yeah. But like you feel the like what he means, the emotion behind it. Yeah. I also liked his line where he said he was David Blaine with the press. Like he disappears. I thought that was funny.
But yeah, that song was good. Yeah. I liked that one.
This like near drumless style just suits Benny so well. There's a lot of people trying to do this right now, like this sound right now. And I think he's like one of the best.
That really might have been why it didn't grab me. Lack of drums.
No, Weekends at the Perry's.
No, I know. But like the album overall, I think that there was not a lot of drum presence. Like, I mean, there was drums on it, but none that was like,
it didn't overwhelm
nothing
you or
was
anything.
really going for anything interesting. But I think that on God Don't Make Mistakes, there was a lot more. There wasn't like a ton of percussion on that album, but there was more interesting percussion going on.
There was a record that got released this past couple weeks, I forget when exactly it came out, that we were going to do for this podcast, but then we didn't, just because neither of us had too much to say about it. And that was Fly Anakin's album, Frank. And I listened to that one and this one pretty much back to back. And I'm not going to go super into the Fly Anakin album, both because I don't have much to say about it. I didn't think it was great. I think just like the beat, the drumless style on this beat is just very skillfully done. Like the vocal loop that is in the background is very like keyed into the rhythm of the beat, and the rappers, both of them, do a really good job of keying themselves into a consistent rhythm even without drums. Like it's just it is rhythmic without a backbeat, which I am into that. Uncle Bun I also was into. I thought that beat was really threatening for how minimal it was. Like it could like snap at any moment. I shouldn't snap on the podcast. But it really sounded like it could snap at any second. I also did not like Back Two Times is the other one that I put as my least favorite track, because Stove God is really fucking annoying on that song. That's uncharacteristic for Stove God. I was kind of looking forward to his verse, but he was very annoying. And that one also has a lot of what you were talking about before with like the lack of progression on the beat.
Yeah.
That one just kind of went.
Yeah. I wrote on my thing, I was thinking, because I remembered Uncle Bun being a thing for me. Like I remembered feeling something about it. So I went and I looked and I said, I got really close to liking Uncle Bun, but the vocals dodged the beat a little too much for me. So I think that just his flow on it was not agreeing with me.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes maybe he was kind of off for me. Which, I mean, on something that is this beat driven, I think that sticking to that beat is kind of important.
Yeah.
So that it maintains interest in the beat, or else it's just sort of like, okay, this is an uninteresting progression and you're trying to make me hold my attention. It's not doing it for me.
I think we would be remiss if we did not talk about 10 More Commandments.
I felt nothing about that song.
Do you know the background of that song?
I don't.
Oh, right.
I know 10 Crack Commandments is a thing.
I was just going to say, you don't. Oh, that's a Biggie song.
Oh, is it?
Yes, that is one of Biggie's most like remembered moments from his second and final album, Life After Death. That song, yeah, it's like it presents itself like a guide to crack dealing, like the 10 things you have to remember if you're getting into this trade. And so like Biggie's legacy is so unapproachable. Like that man is like, in hip hop, there is nobody who's more revered than like Pac and Biggie. That is like the two. And for Benny to like
approach that,
like even try to approach that legacy, and then I thought he's like, his whole thing struck a really good balance between being like reverent of Biggie's legacy, very cautionary about this, because he says at the end, like, you better get the fuck out of this. This is not like, as soon as you can get out of this, which Biggie did not. And then assertive, like very assertive. I think he totally sticks the landing, and this is a very easy thing to fuck up.
Yeah.
Like he could have come across as a total clown. Also, him being from New York is another thing that's like, yeah, you are one of the very few people who could even try to attempt something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could have totally come across like a disrespectful asshole or like totally corny. And I thought he stuck the landing really well. Yeah, it was. I really dug that track. I thought that was a good, very personality showing song.
Moment. Yeah. I mean, if you with your context felt that way about it, then I'm sure I just missed something, because it just kind of passed me by. But I mean, that could be said about a lot of songs with context like this.
Yeah.
It's hard for me now, with my interest in hip hop, like waxing, it's growing bigger. There's just so much history and so much it's not even just that there is so much history, because obviously there's history in every genre, but it's the fact that hip hop history is like interlaced with each other. Like everyone discusses everybody, everybody does homages, everybody references, there's bars about people, there's bars that like are taken from people in like a certain way. Yeah. It's just like, it's just something that I have a hard time with.
It can seem dense, yeah.
Yeah, but we're working on it. We're getting there.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
I'm learning every day.
The transformation continues.
Yes. And I gotta say, I have noticed, because Sophie curates our list for the albums. It is funny because I will listen to these albums and I'm like, wow, I did not think that I'd be listening to like 3 pop albums and 2 rap albums this week, but here we are.
Yeah, I do hate to say that the list is going to skew that way just because that's what's in my awareness, like my circle of...
Yeah.
But
if I come across anything that's interesting to me...
Oh, yeah,
I push the Caroline album because that's definitely my speed.
I don't mean to like sound like I'm like banging my fucking gavel, like this is what we will listen to. This I'm okay with whatever.
Yeah, she's good. It's just it's funny. It does expand my taste, which is it's good because I would never have been aware even of the Rosalia album because it's just not what I listen to.
Yeah.
So it's interesting and it's definitely educational for me. So I appreciate that.
And we hope it's educational for our listeners too.
I think that it's a good dynamic because I think a lot of listeners are probably in the same place as me of not knowing what's coming. So, and speaking of pop albums,
oh, here we go.
our next record is Charli XCX with Crash.
Oh God, oh fuck. Charli XCX's Crash.
So this is one that's funny because for as little pop knowledge as I have, I do know that I don't really like Charli XCX.
I think this album sucks.
Yeah,
I think this album sucks a lot.
It does suck. And the shame is from people that I have heard who do really enjoy Charli. And who loved her last album, how I'm feeling now.
And also her 2 before that, her self-titled and then Pop 2.
Yeah, I listened to the self-titled when it came out and I did not like it at all.
Yeah.
It's just really here's the thing, is normally I like bratty deliveries. Like I like that kind of screechy.
Yeah.
I just think it's charming. But on her, I don't know what it is about her. It really irks me. And this album was no exception, especially one track that I would really like to point out as being my least favorite.
I'm worried you're going to say the one track that I liked.
Every Rule.
Oh, okay.
I hated that song because A, it's boring. B, it's just about having an emotional affair. And I was like, that is such a not cool look to put in a cool light.
It is that song. The word I used was tepid. It is just nothing.
And that one really bothered me.
So that is a nice pivot into like my main thing with this album, because I'll talk about my actual opinions on Charli XCX in a second. But like in a vacuum, this record, the hooks fucking suck.
Yeah, they don't grab at all.
They're barely there. Like the opener title track, Crash, has a really fun beat. I
like that one, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that had a really fun beat. You can't shit on a beat this fun with a chorus that annoying.
Yeah.
What in the world? Beg For You with Rina Sawayama. You can't waste Rina on a song that has a chorus or like bass drop or whatever. That's non-existent. There's nothing there.
That was one thing I did say about this album, is that she abused her guests, because having Rina and also Caroline Polachek on there.
I will say I did like Caroline and Christine on that song.
But the thing is having those people on there embarrasses her, because they do so much more than her on the album, and especially their current career trajectories. Caroline is releasing some of the most interesting singles in pop right now. Sawayama was a masterpiece in my humble opinion.
So fucking good.
That album I think is my pop album of like the decade. I adore it. And so having her on there, I'm like, if anybody hears her and hears her outperforming Charli, then they're just gonna go and listen to a better album, which is cool. But like, why would you do that to yourself?
I also hated Baby and Lightning.
Lightning was so cheesy.
Lightning's hook is, the word I chose to use was brainless.
Oh my God, it's so bad.
The bridge also hurt me when she turned into like the auto-tune. That caused me some
and then at the very
damage.
end when it's just rain sounds, I was like, oh.
You did not earn that.
No, you did not. I also hated Good Ones. I thought that one was very boring.
Good Ones has grown on me because I really hated that one when it came out. It also doesn't have a chorus. Like, it just doesn't have one. It
doesn't.
I thought it was kind of doing its thing, though. It's, okay, it sort of rips off... Okay, wait, what do you think I'm about to say? What song do you think I'm about to say that it rips off? This is an extremely popular song. Not like an indie song. This is like a mainstream pop song.
Good Ones?
Yes.
God, I don't know.
I'm thinking about the beat.
Oh, the beat. I don't even remember
like
the beat.
the drop on the beat.
No, I don't know.
Dun 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 dun. Sweet dreams are made of these. That song sounds exactly like Sweet Dreams are made of these, which is not a bad thing necessarily. I still like the song, but it's just.
Once again, go listen to a better song.
Yeah, I can definitely see why you would not like that song, and I didn't like it at first either. But that one did grow on me.
Yeah.
The only other two tracks that I enjoyed of this record were New Shapes, which has also grown on me. I think this is the best use of Charli's bratty vocal delivery on a hook.
Yeah.
On the album. And I'm also not a Christine and the Queens fan. I generally don't like their work. But did pretty good on this one. And Caroline Polachek fucking knocked it out of the park. She's never disappoints.
Yeah, she never misses.
Incapable of missing. And then my favorite track was Yuck.
I liked that song a lot.
Where in the world
did
was
this come from?
On the entire rest of the record?
Yeah.
Where was this?
Yeah. I think that our favorite lists look pretty much the same because mine is Crash, New Shapes, Yuck, and I like Twice.
Yeah. I don't remember Twice, TBH.
I liked that one. I thought it was nice.
Yuck, for me, is the best track on the record, and it's not even fucking close. Like that queasy ass synth riff that opens it up to like the actual chorus on this thing.
Yeah.
To the like this kind of sweet Doja Cat-y chord progression. The lyrics are great. Like she's like talking about he's like, I'm trying to fuck, and he's like sending her flowers. She's like, no, I just want to fuck.
Yeah.
It's really snappy. The vocal layering is really good. I don't know, like this song represents so much of what this album totally fails to be otherwise. Where was this vocal presence on every other song
This
here?
album could have just been a single and it would have been Yuck and it would have been fine.
Yuck is so good. I wish that song was a single. Why didn't you drop this before the album? Where's the video for this? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
So that one, I liked that one quite a bit as well. I just remember Twice having like a pretty melody. I liked that one. But yeah, there were... There were just moments on this where I was bummed is the word I will say. Because like Yuck, there were just glimpses. I was like, this could have been so fun. Yeah. Like the beat on Crash.
The beat on Crash is great.
New Shapes, just overall, I think if it had just maybe a little bit more of something or like one more element,
I'll agree with that.
It would have been great.
Yeah, I liked that song overall, but it definitely could have been better.
Yeah, Yuck was great. And then Twice, like that melody could have been something really nice. It was just moments like the ones that I saw potential in. The potential was almost painful because it was on something so mediocre.
Yeah. I didn't even like the Dua Lipa album last year that much, but literally just like go, like if you want an album that sounds like this, that exists. Yeah. Like that exists and is huge.
Exists in so many other albums is the thing.
That's the thing. This is like a stab at that full-on 80s. Like the fucking Weeknd did this like 2 months ago. Way better. I don't know. Man. It's really like it's shallow. This album's so shallow. Just not likable.
Yeah, it definitely did not hold up to her contemporaries whatsoever. It didn't even hold up to her. Like, regardless of how you feel about comparing her to other artists, comparing her to her own output, this is incredibly weak. Even as a Charli hater, there's merit in her older stuff.
Okay. He's here where I get to go on my Charli XCX soapbox.
Yes.
Okay, so I also came into this album as a bit of a Charli hater because, like, in her quote-quote hyper-pop era where she was working with Sophie and A.G. Cook and everybody in that scene, I found that she really came across as an appropriator.
Okay.
A much more, like, marketable and traditionally sexy, palatable, cishet white British version of things that queer artists were doing, like, better and sexier and more boundary pushing.
Yeah.
I didn't like Pop 2. I didn't like Charli. I just found her persona, like, on this style of music not believable at all.
Yeah.
And
the word I would use for Charli is grating. That album. I didn't
like how I'm feeling now. I was not into it, but I at least appreciated the ethos behind it.
Yeah.
Like, it was very cool to watch that album come together in real time over the space of like 2 months, and then it was out. Like, that was probably the first like quarantine album, like the first like real genuine like quarantine album that will stick in people's minds as like, yes, this was the music that was happening during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I can respect it for that. But then you turn around and do this?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It feels like either a betrayal of that ethos, a signal that she doesn't actually like care about pushing the medium forward and was just doing stuff like because it was fun
Just
or whatever,
fucking around.
or that she was like tired of it.
Yeah.
It makes me very cynical. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
It does, in a weird way, it does propel my hype for other pop albums to see what will grab me more. Because like I said, I'm not a huge pop head. Let that be known. My opinions on pop are very harsh. I've said like I said with the Stromae album, pop has to convince me that it's good. And when it does, I fall in love with it. Like I borderline stan Rina Sawayama. I love her. And that is not something that I normally do. My other stand-up is for Robin Pecknold at Fleet Foxes, who's a 35-year-old white man.
He's in good company with Rina.
Yeah, so those are my two people, which is hilarious. But I think that Charli is that for a lot of people, and it's a shame that she would give them something so mid.
Yeah.
Yep. So I feel bad for Charli fans, and I know some Charli fans, and I was talking with them about this album, and I was like, I think it's shitty, and they were like, yeah, it's shitty. It sucks, but it's shitty.
I think that's about all I have to say about this one.
Yeah.
Before we go to the next record, the closer sounds like the fucking Rogueport Underground theme from Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. It sounds exactly like it. Anyway, we can talk about something
If I remember,
now.
I'll put a clip of that in. All right, so our next album is going to be Jenny hval, Classic Objects.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is an album that, once again, I wish I liked a little bit more. It
Same.
didn't super stick with me. I even looking at my favorite tracks list right now, I could not tell you really anything about any of them. I liked American Coffee.
I also like that song.
Freedom, and The Revolution Will Not Be Owned. I did not like the title track, Classic Objects.
I did like that song.
I thought that the atmosphere on the album was nice. It felt like a big mist. It was just very, very pretty. And I thought that the variety of the genres on it helped keep it kind of interesting. And the issue for me was that despite it not being on paper a very long album, I think it's like 30 something minutes or 40.
It is pretty languid.
It feels a little draggy.
The number one word I would use to describe this album is amorphous.
Yeah.
So have you seen those? So the cover art for this is it's AI generated. It's like one of those like, not deep dream, like the, like it pieces together photos. It's like kind of fucked up looking.
Like deep consciousness kind of shit.
Have you seen those memes that's like name one thing in this image? And it's like a fucked up AI generated photograph.
Of like someone's room.
Yeah.
And it's like so close to being normal, but it's not.
Name one object in this photo and you can't.
Yeah.
That's what this album is to me.
I agree.
It is honestly hard to describe the sound of this album.
It really is. That's why I said mist instead of like a genre.
Yeah, it's hard because like and that's the thing. This is the most straightforward album of hers that I've heard.
Okay.
Blood Bitch by her is one of my favorite albums of all time.
Okay.
That album's fucking crazy. If you have not heard Blood Bitch by Jenny hval, that is like, it's half a pop record, half an experimental synth record, part spoken word. It's fucking crazy. It's
cool.
A concept record that compares vampires to like people who are angry when they're on their period.
Okay.
And it's like the blood symbolism crossover.
Yeah.
It's fucking it's such a bizarre concept, and she rides it so hard. It's awesome. That album rules.
I think that the big blanket term for this album would just be art pop,
yeah,
which is kind
I
of
would
a cop
say so
out.
too.
But it is immensely artsy.
This is I would totally agree with that. It's art pop, but like way more art than pop. It doesn't really have like hooks on it. It's very artfully restrained, I would say.
Yeah.
And it is approaching pop but keeping it at an arm's length.
Yeah. This is like who would you say that people who are fans of would like?
Man.
Cuz I definitely heard traces of other artists on this.
I say this is somewhere in a very, very amorphous space, like between Angel Olsen and Animal Collective, like somewhere in there.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of a little bit of the more like ballad, like synthy moments on Titanic Rising by Wise Blood.
Yes, but with less
gusto.
And the like Titanic
it's less
Rising
saturated.
Yes,
what
for
I would
sure.
say.
Yeah, that's a really good way to describe it. Titanic Rising is definitely very intended to be a very beautiful record.
Yeah, Titanic Rising is like a bath. Like it just washes over you. But like I said, this one's a mist or a fog.
I would not say that beauty is a focus of this album.
No, it's it's definitely not trying to convince you that it's beautiful or do anything there. Like the art of it is kind of in the minimalism, which is something that I could definitely see someone enjoying more than I did. So I'm not saying that this is a bad album or it shouldn't be listened to or anything, or even that it's boring. It's just not what I was feeling. The one thing that I will say that I have a critique on is the vocal delivery felt very samey to me.
It is definitely the unifier of the record. Like, there is a lot of different sounds happening on the different individual tracks. But they are largely downplayed. Like there are different things going on, but I feel like those things are largely downplayed in favor of spotlighting her voice.
I wish that the vocals were a little bit more awash in what was happening or a little more connected with them.
They're much cleaner than the rest of the record,
which
for
is
sure.
kind of a problem for me because it almost became singer-songwriter to me as opposed to an experimental or an art pop record.
I agree with that,
wish
actually.
that it had been more of the art part of it.
I hadn't thought
about
it like that, but I totally agree.
Yeah.
The other glue I would say is like there's a strange kind of fuzziness in the drums on this record. It's like a brushed snare, but it's like everything, the entire record.
God, I wish that you had ever listened to 4 Times a Dream by Mas Mihara because
Never heard of that.
I recommended it to you the first day that you came into the Scat Radio Discord.
Oh, huh.
And like a fake fan, she hasn't listened to Stray by Bambara or 4 Times a Dream.
I'm fake.
But there's the opening track on that album.
Stray is like very close to next on my list of things to get to.
So exciting. But yeah, so the opening track on that album is called To Live in the Sea, and it is almost full synth, but there is a drum beat in the background that is heavily reverbed, very fuzzed out, and it reminded me a little bit of this kind of sound.
Yeah.
And that song is almost ambient in a lot of ways. Which there was some moments on this album where it became ambient. And
I'll say almost like I could see someone interpreting this as like ambient pop at points.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that was part of why I think I was just not really in an ambient mood these couple weeks. As we will discuss a little bit later for one of the other things. But if I remember correctly, I think that the song Classic Objects does have an ambient aspect.
It does, and so does Jupiter.
Yeah, those were the two that I thought were a little draggy.
Oh, I actually was into Jupiter because that is the album's clearest pop moment. Like that has the biggest hook on the whole record, and then when that is over, it just drops out and it's ambient for like 3 minutes. I thought that was funny. I liked that. The lyrics on this album are ape shit.
I was kind of looking at them and I was like, whoa.
She's always pretty out there and often very like examining gender and sexuality. She's really out of pocket on this one. The Year of Love, I really liked like the groove on this one. I thought the snare drums coming in for the coda at the end I thought was really good. I thought that song did a really good job of like engaging you melodically without ever really giving you a hook chorus verse. She has a line, I wore black jeans and codeine.
Yes.
I guess I wanted to make sure I seemed relaxed.
Yeah.
That's fucking bizarre. That's great.
And I think she was talking about her wedding.
No. Oh, well, maybe.
Because she mentioned a wedding.
So the song is about a time when... So she's like radical politics all the way, like super hyper feminist leftist. And she is describing an incident where she was performing and someone in the crowd got down and proposed to their significant other. Like she uses the word normcore in the song, which is hilarious.
That is funny. I looked up neoliberal.
Yeah, so she's like, the song is about how weird of a disconnect it was for her to be up on stage singing about like radical politics and like gender and sexuality in like totally non-mainstream ways, and someone is like normcore proposing in front of her. Like you have missed the point so hard.
Yeah.
But then relating that back to she is now married.
Yeah.
So I thought that was so funny and really good. American Coffee also has some apeshit lyrics where she's talking about pissing blood in a cinema bathroom because she has a UTI.
That's hilarious.
And how this makes her think of a version herself who quit music and art but still got the UTI. It's kind of meandering, but that's the point that it comes back to. It's so bizarre.
That's really funny.
She's great. And then what did you think of Cemetery of Splendor?
I do not remember a single thing about that one.
I read that one as the centerpiece because it's like layers of white noise and fuzzy drums, and she's like narrating the afterlife over it. And then when the chorus like takes you to the outro, under it, she's just kind of like listing objects and things you would see.
I do remember that. I remember that because it reminded me a little bit of The End of Lump by Laura Marling, and where Laura's just like, lump is, and she's like doing the credits.
Yeah, it definitely felt like kind of a credits roll moment. Yeah, for sure. But like in the middle of the album.
Yeah. So
I don't know. The synth cycling under the chorus on Year of Sky, I also really liked. That one kind of could have fit onto any other Jenny album.
Yeah, I think this one maybe lost me a little bit at the beginning and then didn't really grab me back. Mm-hmm. So by like the middle, I was sort of checked out, which is a shame. But overall, I think give maybe the first couple tracks a try.
If you like this, check Apocalypse Girl and Blood Bitch because they're way better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if the descriptors have sounded interesting, then maybe give it a try, see what happens.
Yeah.
Now into our next album, which is one that I almost would like to skip it because I was so unenthused by it.
All right.
This is Ghost Impera. So the descriptor that I sent to my Discord about this one was, I said it sounds like if Chicago made a metal record. It's like dad rock metal. Yeah. It fully does not commit.
It's like wacky 70s Scooby-Doo chase music metal.
Yes.
It's great. That's why I love about it.
I hated it.
This was not my favorite Ghost album. This is definitely not their best stuff. I really like their album Prequel, which goes way harder on the 70s rock angle. Yeah. It was fun.
I will say my favorite tracks are kind of they were kind of a meme but also kind of serious, which is my favorite tracks were Imperium and Dominion. And do you know what those have in common?
Those are interludes, right?
Those are the only ones with no lyrics and that are a minute and a half long.
I listened back over Meliora and Prequel before this, and I fucking forgot how much I love these stupid douchebags. Yeah. This is like prime, like my brain is absolutely turned off.
Yeah.
Like I turn this record, not this one, but I turn on Prequel, and it's just like pure serotonin in my veins. It's like it's stupid.
It is deeply stupid.
Stupid music.
The thing is like the sci-fi lyrics across a lot of it.
That's new.
It reminded me a lot of like a shitty Rush tribute, like how like
yeah, they're a little Rush.
Yeah, like how Neil Peart, God bless him, wrote a lot of sci-fi stuff, like the whole Cygnus series and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, so we're doing a Neil Peart style Cygnus series, but it's like it's so like badly told, and like the lyrics do not have the storytelling power to get it across at all.
I will agree with that. This album was marketed as a concept album about empires and like empires falling and collapsing, but also like the people of the like of the empire having a relationship with their dictators. So like some of the like more like straightforward, like I don't want to say like love songs, but like songs kind of like that are supposed to be at least like allegory for like an empire,
which kind of feels like a tacked on thing.
Yeah, they don't go as hard on that as I think they want me to think.
I mean, especially there was one song, I don't remember the name of it, but it was about the Flat Earth Society.
Yeah.
And I was like,
what does that have to do with the rest of
yeah,
this concept?
like what does that have to do with that? I was like, this is just about America.
Is that Watcher in the Sky?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
I didn't like that one either.
That one had a really weak chorus.
My least favorites were Call Me Little Sunshine.
Oh, I liked that one.
I thought that was stupid beyond belief. I thought it was very dumb. And then I also didn't like 20s.
Okay, I want to talk about 20s, but we'll get back to 20s because that song is fucking ape shit.
I got close to liking Respite on the Spitalfields.
Yeah.
Because I thought that to quote myself, I said it was the least bereft of creativity and didn't have distractingly bad lyrics.
I really liked the outro to Respite on the Spitalfields.
Yeah.
That was a cool outro, but I didn't really like the performance on the vocals on that
Yeah.
one. He was going like, wah, after everything.
Dude, oh my God, I know. I was like,
funny.
please stop.
It was pretty funny. I liked Kaycyy, the opener.
Yeah,
that shit goes dummy.
I thought I liked that one a little bit, and then I was like, I'm just gonna listen to Perihelion by King Gizz instead.
Kaycyy. I thought that the riff on the chorus is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
The lyrics on that one went pretty hard about like the church and government inaction on global warming. And I thought the story about Hypatia that they're like quoting from in the burning of the original Kaycyy was like a cool allegory for like inaction on government fronts. The bridge and breakdown and guitar solo on that one were really fun too. I thought that was such a good opener. I heard that, I was like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be really good, and then it just wasn't. Spillways is on its Bon Jovi Living on a Prayer shit.
I know.
So hard. I'm here for it.
I'm not.
Here for
I'm
it.
really not. See, the other thing, metal is another one of those genres that I'm very hit or miss on.
Same.
And
but I think we are looking for different things out of
very
it.
different things. Yeah, because I like black metal and death metal.
Okay.
I like screaming. And I like mathcore in my metal a lot. Like my favorite metal album of all time, I have no idea if you're going to know what this album is, but it's a Time Will Die and Love Will Bury It by Rollo Tomassi.
I know of Rollo Tomassi and I have heard some of their stuff, but I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
Time Will Die is an awesome album. So good. Has like a really cool spread of genre, mathcore. It's got one ambient song. It's got a pop song. Like it's all over the place. And part of what I love about that album is it's a female singer who screams her heart out and also does really clean fills, like really beautiful lyrics. And this does not give me any of that. There's no strong screaming.
No, there's not.
The male vocals feels cheesy as all hell. Which I cannot get past. I don't know what it is about metal. I know that you're supposed to embrace the cheese. I can't.
They are like, there's embracing the cheese and then there's Ghost.
Yes.
Like this is like, the cheese
They're
is
like the court jesters of metal.
The cheese is so like baked into
this is
every
a ziti.
fiber.
This is a cheesy baked ziti.
Baked ziti. Good God. Yeah, no, it is the cheese of Ghost is the appeal. Like there are parts of metal where you have to embrace the cheese, but the cheese of Ghost is the appeal. They're very divisive. And if you're not into the cheese, then like you are not going to like anything they do.
Yeah.
I like metal, but what I look for in metal is just like absolutely bizarre shit that is not like serious, like not to like talk about serious metalheads, but like guys who like metal fucking hate. Like I love 12 Foot Ninja is like this insane like metal band that fuse it with like indie rock and chiptune and like all this crazy bullshit. I love Maudlin of the Well make like absurd like epics. And also Ne Obliviscaris, who are this like Australian extreme metal band who have like half a full orchestra. Oh wow. It's like crazy violin playing, also awesome violin.
Unvarnished strings, perhaps?
No, they're pretty varnished.
Okay.
But like Ghost is like you are just getting cheese dumped down your. It's like you're standing under like a nacho cheese dispenser at a gas station and just like guzzling it into your maw. Yeah. If you're not into that, then
this feels like theater core metal to me.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't into it.
I also there are some L's on this record for sure.
Yeah.
Hunter's Moon. Oh. So we'll talk about 20s in a second, but to head off, like I wrote, this takes the camp a step too far, which like we'll talk about 20s, but like they ride the good lord, they ride the line of camp and like there's actual good pop songwriting here. I think they ride that really well. But if you're like growling like a dog on the hook for no reason, like, you just kind of lose
I was
me.
like, why?
Like it's overdoing the camp, but it doesn't feel like it's overdoing the camp on purpose. And then I was really bored by Griftwood, which is insane to me because a ghost song being boring is like the worst thing it could possibly do.
Yeah.
I also took some issue with the production on that one. It kind of just all existed in the mid with no huge low end or treble. And then 20s.
Fucking 20s, dude.
That song is certainly something.
It is certainly something.
My notes for this song start with Lamau, Lamau. Three long drawn out Lamaus.
Oh my
Man,
God.
what do I even say about this shit?
I don't even. Oh God. And once again, where the fuck does this fit into the concept?
Well, no, this one does have the concept. I will say that the lyrics are very. This was to me the hardest like pound in of the Empire concept. He's pretty directly from the perspective of the dictator, like stirring people to violence. But like, this is on a reggaeton beat for no reason. This is the crunchiest ass riff on the whole album. This is arguably the most like melodramatic and cartoonish thing they've ever done. It's got such like you said like show. Like theater.
Yeah.
This is that. Like this is where that is. The fucking brass on this is so funny. The breaking glass sound effects into the guitar solo. It was like, and then the Trump pussy line.
Yeah.
He was like,
see, that was what I was saying. The fact that you're presenting this concept as sci-fi and then like dropping a Trump line, I was like, these can't fit.
Insane. I have the Trump pussy line, I have no idea how I feel about that. I feel like I would need the space of like a thesis dissertation to like,
really piece
rule
apart
out the politics of that. But it is a choice.
It is a choice for sure.
What a song. I like it. I like it a lot. I respect the audacity. But I totally get why people would not like this song at all. That's about all I have to say on this one. It is not as good as their best material. It's not as bad as their worst material. The concept is both looser than I expected and kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
This is a very easy style of music to phone in, and you can really tell when they are phoning it in.
Yeah. So next one is one that I think that we're both a lot more enthused about, which is Weatherglow.
Oh, shit.
By Weatherday and Asian Glow.
This goes hard as fuck.
Yeah. It really does. This is an all killer, no filler type shit. Like I was listening to it. I was ascending. I was floating.
That's the thing is like, I wish this was longer. I really do wish it was longer.
But it's so tight. You almost can't complain.
When you turn it to the end, it's like, okay, roll it again.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
This shit is good.
Melt a Bed is a bonkers opener.
The opening of that song is like 2 minutes of pure ear candy.
Yes.
Just like the sheer, like, I feel like drugs are being pumped into my ears. And then the twinkly bridge.
Yeah, the dreamy like pop moment in the middle is so nice. And then the drums at the end.
Yeah, and then they punch you in the fucking face, like right back into it.
It's so good.
It's so good.
And I one that I really, really enjoyed was Look Alive Sunshine. Mm-hmm. Did you like that one too?
I liked every track. There was no misses.
Yeah, me neither. That one was like haunting.
Yeah.
Like oh my God, it was so good. This one has, I think it handles the lo-fi better than anything that I've heard from Weatherday before.
Well, it's much clearer.
Yes,
it is much clearer.
Because Weatherday has another album previously called Come In,
excellent
which was
record. So
huge on like underground scenes. Everybody loved it basically. And I really liked it as well, but there was some moments where I really wished that it was a little bit more direct.
There are points where the distortion is a bit much.
It meanders a little bit, I think. And this one punched.
What do you know about the recording of Come In?
Not anything.
He did it on... I actually have all of the recording software that I use he, him pronouns. I'm sorry. Sputnik uses they, them pronouns. I I have actually all of the recording equipment that was used to create
Come In?
Weatherday's album Come In on me, and my co-host can see this. Would you like to describe what you're seeing right now?
It is a pair of Apple earbuds with the shitty mic that comes with them.
That is everything that was used to record. It was all recorded on a pair of Apple earbuds.
That is crazy.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
So good. And
just goes to show that concept is king.
Yeah.
If you have a good concept, you can run with it.
And this was not recorded on
no.
a mic like
and
that.
you can really tell. This is
it almost feels like a bit out of Weatherday's comfort zone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I like this as a push forward for them.
Totally. And I don't know anything about Asian Glow, but
I know a little about Asian Glow.
I can say that I would love to hear a full album with both of them together.
Yeah, I would love that too. Asian Glow does have a full album that is very popular that I can't remember the name of because I've never heard it. My main exposure to them is because Paranol, who did
Paranol,
that huge,
the smokestack one.
Yeah, to see the next part of the dream. That was huge last year.
Yeah, shoegaze.
Good album. Paranol did a split. It was split 3 ways record last year that I don't remember the title of, but Asian Glow had a third of the songs on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't too into them. And I thought Asian Glow was being brought out of his comfort zone too, being brought into this. Like, he also fronts the band Fog, which is like a cool shoegaze band.
Oh, it's Cole Fickle.
What?
Cole Fickle. That's the Asian Glow album.
Oh yeah, it's got like a really low budget cover. Yeah.
Of the girl with the fish head.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I was gonna say fish, but I couldn't remember if it was a fish or a fish bowl.
It's Cole Fickle.
Yeah. That one is big on like,
a lot of my friends like that one.
That one's big in like music people.
And the Paranol one is Downfall of the Neon Youth.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, so Asian Glow has a third of the tracks on that.
Yeah.
And that's what I know him from mostly. Yeah, so I think this is a really cool like mashup of their two sounds. Like, went
loved it
together as well as totally could have been.
Yeah.
I really liked Center was my favorite song on this one.
Yeah, that one was great.
The riff is such a fucking earworm. That was stuck in my head. I could hear a more stoned Julian Casablancas singing on the first half of that.
Mm-hmm. My favorites were Melt a Bed, Late Time Stroll, and Look Alive Sunshine.
I like the hook on Late Time Stroll, but it was not as structurally sound as some of the others, I thought. And what was the third one you said?
Look Alive Sunshine.
Oh, yeah, that was really good.
Great track. There wasn't, like I said, this is all killer, no filler. Amazing 6 tracks.
Yeah.
And it's only like 20 something minutes.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think a lot of people would get a lot out of this.
Yeah.
Because it's accessible. It's very accessible.
Yeah, it's super easy to listen to. Like I said, Melt a Bed, the opener is like, it's pure ear candy.
Yeah,
like, there's
it's
no...
so good.
Yeah.
And the vocals, I think that the vocals are a main thing that put people off of lo-fi.
Yeah.
Understandly.
They're pretty good on this one.
But they're actually quite nice on this one.
They do nice harmonies over each other.
Definitely. So I think that most people, if you want, should give this a listen.
Yeah.
Because it might open you up to a new world of music that you just didn't think that you would like.
Totally. Clockwork Around the Ache, I said, was more of like that's a more Asian glowy, like shoegaze
I liked that one
track.
too.
I like that one too. But it was cool to hear those two, like you were saying, like harmonize vocally over that one. I would love for Weatherday to take some shoegaze back into their own music. Like,
totally.
I think that'd be a neat direction for them to go.
Yeah, it definitely made me want to go back to Come In and hear it again and see if it hit me a little bit more. I will say, I'm just... Something that you'll notice about me is I'm a huge lover of like multi-part like epics, especially in the lo-fi space. So like my Sputnik Sweetheart on Come In.
Yep.
Like what is that?
Your
Like
Beach Life and Death moment.
Yeah, I love that song. Yeah. It's the one I come back to the most, which is funny because I think it's over 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's really long.
But that and like the car seat headrest big ones, I just love stuff like that. So I would love to hear something in this style with more of that multifaceted development that was on that track, because I think that if there was a little bit more production on that song, it could be a total masterpiece. So I'm really, really now looking forward to seeing what aspects of this, Weatherday and Asian Glow both, take into their own work.
Yep.
And I'm really hoping for the best. I think it should be pretty darn epic.
Totally agree with everything you just said.
Yeah. All right. So totally recommend that, especially to any, honestly, to car seat headrest fans. Savannah, Georgia is a loud place.
Yes.
car seat headrest fans. If you've listened to Parannoul fans, but if you know Parannoul, you know this EP. That's
probably
a take. And another one that was big in music nerd circles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you know what's coming. Bladee and Echo 2K with Crest.
Megan, the sky is falling.
Yeah.
Megan, the world is ending. Megan.
I can see the apocalypse happening outside the window.
Megan, I'm dying.
The ceiling is collapsing as we speak.
I'm being sucked into the void.
Yeah. You've been injected with digestive fluids and now a big spider is draining your guts.
I am literally on the verge of death. The world is going to explode. It's a sign of the end times.
And should we tell people?
I liked a Bladee album, Megan.
No! We lost one.
My drainification has begun.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I was into this, which I was not expecting at all.
So let me tell you a little something about my relationship with Drain Gang.
Okay.
So
Personal relationship with Drain Gang?
Yeah, I know them well. I went to Blade's wedding. So my big
Blade's
meme,
wedding to Gun.
Yes. So my relationship here is I invented a term to describe the opposite of being drained, which is being clogged. So I am certifiably clogged.
Okay.
And this was not my Drano. I am completely clogged still. I've listened before any drainers come for me and say that I haven't given it a chance. I fully have.
Yeah, same.
This is my third Drain album. I listened to E, which everybody raves about. I liked it for a day, and then it grew off of me the hardest anything ever has.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to Ice Dancer. Thought it was terrible.
I don't like it at all.
And I listened to this, and it was the most agreeable one that I've heard.
Yeah.
Other than E, I thought that there was some good stuff off of E. But one song off this album pissed me off.
Okay. Was it Yeses?
Nope, it was 5-Star Crest.
Oh, what the fuck?
Way too long.
What the
I
fuck?
felt the length.
Were you not just
so
talking
hard.
about loving multi-part epics?
No, this is not epic. It was lame.
Oh, I hard disagree. I really liked that one, actually.
I thought it was boring as all get out.
I actually wrote,
was
there
bored.
it is, Bad Boys, the first Drain track to make me want to go back and listen again.
Oh my God.
I was into that one a lot.
So my favorite tracks were the last three. I liked Chaos Follows, I liked Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and I liked Heaven Sings.
I didn't care about Girls Just Want to Have Fun, but I liked the other two.
So that was when I was like, I couldn't even tell if it was just because I was getting to the end of the album, and they say if you listen to something for long enough, your brain conditions you to like it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I wonder if I'm just liking these out of exposure. But 5-Star Crest was way too long for me. It didn't feel like it earned that length at all.
Yeah.
White Meadow was okay, but I think that it was just because I was relieved that I wasn't listening to 5-Star Crest anymore.
Okay. I liked White Meadow too.
The ending was pretty strong on the album. Like I said, the last three tracks were ones that I liked, but
Chaos
I
Follows,
just did not feel it.
Chaos Follows has like a really nice, like the distortion on the beat, it gives it like a nice physical impact.
Which is probably the why I liked it.
Yes, that's actually exactly what I was going to say. I don't think this one is I liked this album overall. I did like this album way more than I thought I was going to. But I don't think it's going to serve as like a gateway into the rest of the Drain catalog because the reasons I liked this album are the differences it has from the other Drain albums. It's much more like hyperpop and straight up pop
peppy.
focused. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it also like a lot of the time I feel like Drain Gang's music is very willing to like float away with itself. Like
it's called cloud rap for a reason.
Yeah, it like exists totally in the upper register with like just like a couple elements in the mix for like this like elevated cloud. Yeah, cloud. That's a good.
I mean, Drain Gang are the fathers and androgynous parents of cloud rap.
Yeah.
Which I feel a need to describe what a Drain Gang is.
Swedish, first of all.
Yeah.
Swedish.
So Drain Gang is kind of the collective that I would say Bladee is the biggest name.
No, it's Young Lean.
Oh, Young Lean is, now because of fucking Ginseng Strip. So it's a Swedish basically group of rappers who make a style called cloud rap that's super synth heavy, doesn't really rely on flow or vocals so much as
lyrics.
or lyrics so much as it does just pure melody
Vibe.
and vibes. I don't like it really at all, but the people who do like it are very passionate about it.
Yeah.
Good for them. More power to them. I'd say the big names are Young Lean, Bladee, and Echo 2K.
Thaiboy Digital also.
Really? I've never heard of him.
He is a producer for the most part.
Oh,
but
okay.
He's on a bunch of their stuff.
Yeah.
He makes a lot of the beats.
So, that's basically all you need to know. They've been gaining much more, I think, attention over the last
last couple years. They've gotten more mainstream attention.
Yeah.
Because they've been doing their thing in the underground for like a very long time now.
Yeah.
Young Lean has been active for a good while.
Yeah.
But they've gotten more mainstream attention recently.
I think that Echo and Young Lean are probably the most marketable.
Yeah. Bladee is not marketable.
Bladee is not marketable.
Except this record, kind of.
Yeah. Bladee is just funny because of his whole thing against cursing.
Yeah.
Which is really funny. There's on one of his songs, I believe it's called Continental Breakfast. There's a bar where he says, "I'm a good boy, no cursing on the mix." No, he says no cussing on the mix, which is just hysterical.
You're Swedish. Where'd you learn the word cussing?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. There is like other ethnicities of cloud rap that are happening. Like Frogman, if you know him.
I don't.
I believe he's Italian.
Actually, I think I've heard that name.
Yeah. I believe he's Italian, if I'm not mistaken. But I
wish
know
I was a frog man.
I know, me too. But yeah, drain is spreading. More and more pipes are being drained. And I remain clogged, sadly. But this was an interesting album for sure.
This one is willing to, if not get more complex than other Drain music, because it's not complex.
No.
It has a much more balanced mix, which I really appreciate, with a stronger, more consistent, like, low end.
Yeah.
And, like, some actual, like...
vocals.
Melodies.
Yeah.
Like, these songs have tunes. You can sing along. Like, I don't know. That means a lot to me in terms of music. Like, they feel much more written than a lot of other stuff they've done.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that.
I don't really understand the recurring arrowhead thing that's all throughout the album, but I thought it sounded cool.
I don't really know either. I don't have a whole lot to say about this other than that it didn't grip me for pretty much the same reasons as other Drain albums. I think I'm just waiting. I'm waiting until the vibe agrees with me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that really what it is I have to just be down to float.
Yeah.
And I don't think I am.
Yeah, I don't think that moment for me, like where I connect with Ice Dancer, will happen anytime soon at all. Like, that's just not what I listen to music for.
Yeah.
But no, I did find a lot to enjoy about this one.
Yeah.
I really like The Flag Is Raised as an opener. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know. The Flag Was Raised was kind of the moment where I was like, okay, I see what's different here, but it's still not enough.
I thought it had some J-pop vibes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I could see that.
Also some like Ginger era Brockhampton.
What artists out, because I find it really difficult to compare Drain to non-Drain artists.
Yeah.
What would you even compare this to? Beach House?
Yeah. Well, like I was saying, this one is a little more traditionally pop and hyper pop than some other Drain stuff has been. So if you are into like I think for the third consecutive episode I will mention underscores. If you like underscores, if you like Gex, I think there are Gex fans who could get into this. I think there are like I think there are Crystal Castles fans who could get into this. This is like if Crystal Castles was rap.
I don't know, because I think that the issue there is both Gex and Crystal Castles tend to have a more direct sound.
And more maximalist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's what's the issue with these guys is, personally, I think that Beach House is kind of an apt comparison. Just because if you're willing to vibe with Beach House and you also enjoy rap, then you'd probably get something out of this.
Yeah, I think you can definitely take that approach to this, but I'll also say that Beach House are usually at least saying something interesting when they talk.
I think it's just also because from my first experience with Beach House being live, and I couldn't understand just jack shit of what she was saying. I just kind of don't pay attention to Beach House lyrics.
That's fair.
So I think that is kind of where it comes from. Beach House is almost an instrumental project in my mind. The vocal becomes just part of the melody.
Which it very much is in a lot of Drain projects. Like that is the point of the vocals in a lot of them.
So it just comes down to, do you like beach house? Yes. Do you want more harsh synth, I would say?
Yeah.
Then go for a Drain album.
This album sounds very I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, but I'm trying to bring it back to this one specifically.
Yeah.
This album sounds like a lot of other Drain projects if you kind of coated them in candy. Like it's a little sugarier, I would say, than a lot of the rest of them.
It felt almost like a parody of themselves in some ways. Like I felt like they were kind of aware of their brand as like just kind of zone out music, and they were like, okay, let's make this sweet.
Yeah,
let's make it bubblegum.
I would agree with that. This is bubblegum Drain.
Yeah,
This is bubblegum Drain.
Yeah, you tried to flush a wad of bubblegum down your sink, and now it's clogged.
Oh my God. This is like if they put like syrup in your toilet.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much all I have to say about it.
Oh, also I like the album cover. I think it's really funny.
The album cover is very funny. It's like children's art.
Yeah.
All right. Next, second to last album is going to be Alex Cameron with Oxy Music. So this one, for some context.
Yes.
I am an Alex Cameron enjoyer.
Contextualize me.
Yes. Megan. So I had this funny phase where somehow I got into 3 different Australian artists very heavy in the same like week.
And it's funny because I think these are at least 2 different Australian artists that I get confused with each other constantly. Before I listen to this, I didn't know the difference between Alex Cameron and
Kieran J. Callanan.
They're the same person in my mind until now.
So for me, it was, I got into Stella Donnelly.
Oh, I love her
Kieran
so
J.
much.
Callanan and Alex Cameron in the same week. And so I was like, wow, I'm having an Australian renaissance. So when I did that, I kind of came to appreciate different aspects of all of their music.
Mm-hmm.
So with Stella, I loved her melodies and just kind of the really fun parts of her songs.
I love her guitar playing also.
Yeah, her guitar's great. A lot of character. For Kieran, I really liked how like grungy and experimental a lot of his electronic was, particularly his album Embracism. And
Embracism?
Yes, that's
that
what
is
it,
the name of
yeah,
an album.
I mean, because it's about like human connection and toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
The title track on that album, very weird, goes hard. But then for Alex Cameron, I was in it for the songwriting and the really weird, like theatrical aspect of his songs.
It's very high concept.
They are very high concept. And I loved that because I love lyrics and I love storytelling. And one thing that I really, really liked off of Forced Witness was his willingness to incorporate different styles of music to play into the narrative on the songs.
Yeah.
Like the Hacienda is like cheap Mexican, like bad mariachi type like style because it's about a Mexican restaurant, like stuff like that. And that kind of charming aspect was missing off of his last project for me, Miami Memory, because that one's a lot more autobiographical as opposed to being a narrative or a story or a character portrait like all of his other albums have been. So then this one, I was really stoked to see that he was going back to a character. And this one almost feels like Forced Witness's washed up celebrity in his prime, where he's talking about the struggles of celebrity. He's talking about drugs. He's talking about losing people. He's talking about all of this isolation, everything that's going on. But I felt like it was less instrumentally daring.
Yeah.
And it didn't play to its strengths as much as I thought Forced Witness did. Did have the same funny lyrics. Like K-Hole is hilarious.
K-Hole's so funny. We've talked about that song on the podcast
Prescription
before.
Refill was it's different than I thought it would be, but I like it. Best Life I thought was awesome. I liked Hold the Line as well. I didn't like the track Dead Eyes. I thought that one was kind of boring.
Ooh, that was one of my favorites.
Okay. But I don't know. I think that for me, this one felt like I don't want to talk shit on it too much because I did enjoy the album. It was just kind of disappointing as a fan. I think that it felt like a little bit of an underwhelming sequel to the character shown on Forced Witness. And it kind of just made me want to go back and listen to Forced Witness again.
I will agree with everything you just said. I think this does feel like the underwhelming step cousin of Forced Witness, but I regret to inform you I didn't like Forced Witness that much either when I listened to it. So I listened to that before it to get like kind of acclimated with what his like quote, quote, usual style was. And one of my biggest gripes from that album was the singing.
Oh, you don't like his voice?
No. Well, okay. So on that record, he's doing a voice.
Yeah.
Like it's very affected and like he's doing a voice on that album. And I found that really aggravating. Like I understood that it was like, I get that it's like a character that he's playing, but I just found the voice really fucking annoying and it was hard for me to get over it. And he doesn't do that on this album. He is doing I very much appreciate that he's using if not natural, because he's still doing a voice. Yeah. A more like effortful sounding voice.
Okay.
Like, the singing is much better on this album, in my opinion. And as before, within this music, my favorite thing in the whole mix is Roy Malloy's saxophone. Yeah. He brings so much warmth to every track that he gets dropped in on. Like instantly, like this album has a tendency to like roam sometimes. Like it can get a little meandery. Yeah. And whenever the sax gets dropped into it, I'm like right with it. Like I'm like, oh yes, this is where the groove locks in. This is where it really comes together.
It starts to make sense again.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. This album's not as characterful as Forced Witness. It's just not pushing boundaries as hard. Yeah. Like even if I didn't really care for some of the ways in which the other record pushed boundaries, this one just like is not really approaching that at all.
Do you know what I'm saying about like the lack of musical variety too?
Yeah, it is. I'm trying to remember specific songs and it's just all one kind of like yellow blur.
The big ones for me that kind of show that jump in style are Candy May, which is like slow ballad. Yeah. Running Out of Luck, which is just a pop song. Those really
were two
good
of my
pop
favorite
song.
Tracks, actually.
And also the Hacienda, which I said is just like a weird, funny little song. That like jumping around of styles while still maintaining a level of cohesion through that really intense character was something that I did not think panned out on this one. Right. I will say if you want something a little more down to earth without that character like voice, I guess. Yeah. You should listen to Miami Memory. I didn't like it because it wasn't a character and because I just like his character studies and I like his funny little voice. I think it's cute. So when he did the difficulty for me was when he did his autobiographical storytelling in there. I almost couldn't separate the two. Right. And so I was like, this is too earnest. I'm uncomfortable.
That's pretty funny. I was sort of bugged by some of the lyrics on this record just because like it was marketed as a concept album about like drugs and different like a guy spiraling into addiction and like failing to climb out of it. The concept I got from like the first 3 tracks was phone bad. Okay. There's so much like
kind of boomery stuff.
Boomery social media shit talking, which like fuck social media, but like I've heard that shit so many times.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Like I don't know. There is also a really bizarre sense of white guilt on this album that like I didn't think sounded intentional. Like there's definitely a comedy angle, like an almost Lil Dicky-ish comedy angle that you could take like to like being like, oh, I'm so white. But like I don't know. It doesn't being white doesn't really tie into any of the rest of the themes of the album. So I don't know. It just came across as like a weird
It did feel more scattered.
Yeah. The only 2 tracks, I wasn't a fan of this one, unfortunately. My favorite tracks were K-Hole, which is such a good song. I really love that song. And Dead Eyes, which I thought was a nice performance and probably the most interesting lyrical concept to me on the record. And then my least favorites were Prescription Refill, which I thought the vocal harmonies were kind of sour and repetitive. And I don't like the synth tone on the riff at all. It was kind of ugly. And then Cancel Culture.
Oh my God, yeah.
That song is baffling. Yeah. The messaging, I have no idea what he's trying to say on this song at all. And some rough rap passages from a guy I have never heard of in my entire life. What the fuck is going on here?
To me, it really felt like this one, he was being a little too broad with the story. when he should have been focusing on one aspect of the character.
Yeah.
So like he should have honed in really hard on the drugs, because they are the most interesting parts of the album.
Yeah, for sure. And he's got a funny perspective on it too.
Because they are the most, they have the most perspective to them. They feel the most fleshed out, probably because he's been around people who have experienced that, and maybe even, I don't know his history, but himself too. But I mean, once again, it does bear comparison to a Forced Witness, because I do feel like it's a continuation of the same character, or a different perspective on the same character. Yeah. But he, on that album,
even if it explicitly is not the same character, like there are comparisons to be
for
drawn.
sure, yeah. But even just the fact that he, on that album, was purely, even if he was bouncing around situations and moments, it was always a similar place that he was coming from, where this guy is haughty. He's looking down on everyone around him.
Yes, he certainly was.
He's a terrible person.
Awful.
And he is basically just everything that you don't want to be.
Yeah.
And that focus and that like kind of intent really brought it all together.
Yeah.
Even if there was a difference in place and time. But this one, it's like, okay, I don't really get a read on this character.
Yes. Yeah,
I get a read on what he's doing and where he's at, but I don't know him.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Like, as much as, like, I've already said I didn't really care for Forced Witness, like, by the end of that, the development of the character was very complete. I felt a way about that character.
Yeah.
I don't feel anything towards the character he's playing on this record, really.
Definitely.
Can we talk about the appearance of the guy from Sleaford Mods on the last track?
What the fuck is Sleaford Mods?
Sleaford Mods he's the British guy on the last track.
Okay.
Sleaford Mods are this band this duo from Britain that are like, it's like working class socialist ranting spoken over like minimalist techno beats. Fucking awesome. They're so good. They don't hit all the time, but like when they hit, they are so good. Their song Tied Up in Knots is probably their biggest hit.
Yeah.
Tied Up in Knots. Shit. It's like, he's so good. And that guy, like, the appearance of that guy, because I didn't know his name, so I didn't recognize the credit on the end, and then he started talking. I was like, whoa. That made me blink in surprise. Like, what in the world? It made me realize that I kind of think Alex thinks he's made a Sleaford Mods album here.
Yeah.
But he's not nearly like diatribe-y enough to match that. Like the closing track, I forget the name of it, is fine. But it's basically just kind of a not great Sleaford Mod song, and about twice as long as it needs to be.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. Like, I definitely, like, as soon as that guy appeared on the track, I was like, oh, that's what he's doing. And I don't know. It just doesn't work for me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely. This one didn't really click for me. No. In any way.
And if we're just remarking on all the album art, after we finished the review of each one, I didn't like the album art for this one either.
I didn't either. It was kind of iffy. Yeah. I think there definitely could have been a lot more going on.
The stupid fucking Lana Del Rey Instagram photograph cover.
I mean, and you saw the Forced Witness cover.
I did.
I think that's a great cover.
It's a good cover.
It's this like really gross, slick looking.
Yeah, it gives a really strong color palette to the rest of the album.
Definitely, and it suits it really well. Yeah. It's like this like 70s style guy in like a gross leather jacket with like slicked back, greasy ass hair.
Yep.
And a receding hairline
on
and
like a burgundy wooden background.
Yeah. And there's people pulling down the blinds behind him and poking phones in to take pictures of him.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there like, I'm too cool for school. So it really gives you that impression. So yeah, I guess the conclusion of this segment is don't listen to this album, listen to Forced Witness.
Yeah.
You may or may not like it, but if you are like me and you like characters and you like stories and you like lyrics, it'll be one that you will probably enjoy.
Yes.
Also, if you grew up as a fan of Filthy Frank but understood that it was satire, you will probably enjoy the album.
Good Lord. He is the musical Filthy Frank.
Yep.
Oh no, that might be why I don't like it.
I grew up loving Filthy Frank, so that's why. But I understood that it was satire is the point.
I could never stand Filthy Frank.
I think that it was because I was just coming from a privileged standpoint. I was like, this is funny.
Because you were straight.
Yeah, I'm cis het, and so It was a funny little meme for me. But I think
that's
that
so funny. Forced Witness is the musical filthy Frank.
Yeah,
That's
it's everyone
fucking
it's everything you don't want to be.
Good God.
So yeah, they're both the same concept. So if you like that kind of satire style, it is a satirical album. So next up we have
our final project of the evening.
Our most unfortunate project of the evening.
Our worst project of the evening.
Which
it's Weezer.
Oh fuck.
It's Weezer.
Seasons, Spring.
It's Weezer.
Seasons.
So this is Megan's
my first full
Weezer virginity.
My poor virgin ears have been defiled and violated.
So my first, I feel like I have to communicate this to our viewers. My first bullet point on Weezer's Season Springs is "fuck you, Megan" with like 90 exclamation points.
Yeah. I take great offense to that and also agree. Yeah, so this album was
pretty bad.
It was so weird.
It's pretty bad.
The one thing that like surprisingly irked me the most, which is funny because I normally don't pay too close attention to this instrument, the fucking guitars.
They're so gritty for no reason.
Gritty for no reason, and also they are the same 3 fucking chords and the same progression the entire time. I was like, can you do anything else? And then the one time that they did on opening night, I think was the song.
That song's so fucking funny.
No, it was All This Love is the song where they actually like did
a little bit of love.
No, it was All This Love.
Are those 2 different songs?
Yes.
Holy fucking crap.
I know. So on that song, I looked at that.
I can't believe I listened to this like 3 times. I didn't remember.
Yeah, I looked back at that when I finished and I was like, oh my God, they did the exact same song twice. But like All This Love has a way more way more interesting in the context of this album, way more interesting like instrumental pattern.
It's A Little Bit of Love is like the default Weezer single circa 2022. I swear to God, Rivers Cuomo just farts and these songs fall out.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't even write them. It just is.
His voice also is like, I feel like it's Poison Ivy. I get it. I like hear it and then I'm haunted by it for like days.
It works on certain things when he leans into, he's a fucking dork.
When he leans into being a virgin, it's okay.
He's a capital D dweeb. When he is leaning into being a dork / dweeb, it works, and he's not doing that here at all.
I mean, he's being a nerd, but like, he's talking about fucking Shakespeare in the Park, and he's like he's playing flute on the first song.
I think there's other bands who could have gotten away with being inspired to write by watching Shakespeare. I think there's other bands that could have gotten away with the Vivaldi thing.
Not this one.
Weezer is not that band.
No.
It's just corny, but it feels so inevitable that they're going to do this, like the Vivaldi passage for all the other seasons.
I wish you guys could see how much I'm rolling my eyes talking about this album.
Funny. It's so funny. The Garden of Eden, when he says, I haven't felt this way since Velcro sneakers came along, I was like, you just lost me completely. Like, that's the most boomer, stupid bullshit I've ever heard. When he starts doing like a triplet flow on the pre-chorus, it really genuinely to me sounds like he's like doing a Migos thing. Like he's trying to do a triplet rap flow. It's so funny.
This was borderline painful for me.
It's pretty bad. The gritty like production style on this does not.
How are you going to have flute and then gritty drums?
It's a Spring album.
Yeah.
Turn down the overdrive by like a notch.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
It's really, really dumb.
I don't know. It's so dumb. Angels on Vacation is so dumb. There's
nothing good here, I think.
The last 20 seconds, it starts up, like the drums kick in or something. I'm like, okay, we're going somewhere, and then it just ends.
Yeah.
It just stops.
I was like, you gave me a teaser of a better song and then cut it off.
I don't know what the fuck they're doing, because I liked OK Human a lot, actually. I thought that was a good album. Van Weezer was not, but I thought OK Human was good. This is just, it's just so nothing. Like, it's not even like bad, and it's bad in some funny ways, but for the most part, it's just nothing.
Listening to this to bolster your music taste is like eating communion wafers to gain muscle.
I'm so upset that this was your first Weezer. Like, there was no universe in which we didn't talk about this, but I wish there was a universe where we talked about this and you had heard Weezer Blue beforehand.
I mean, I've heard parts of Weezer Blue. I've heard like bits and pieces. I've heard a few songs in full. It still bothers me. It pisses me off. Yeah. Just because it is shameless virgin music, which like more power to you if you want that. But at the same time, like sometimes I just don't want to hear Rivers Cuomo. And that's most times I think is I don't want to hear him.
Say it ain't so.
Oh my God. Like it's just such a demographic of music that is not me in any way.
I think there's a universe where you can like Pinkerton at the very least.
Maybe a universe where I don't get pussy. Like, I don't know. It's just not for me. I'm fully like resigned to
Gay Megan striking once more.
I'm just fully resigned to the fact that Weezer is not for me, and that it was not a hard resignation for me to make. Like, it's just not something it is worth getting invested in for me.
Weezer is for me in doses, but like not like this.
No, not like this. Say it ain't so.
I'm gonna kill you. That was the most like music reviewer ass. Like, it's like music reviewers who who specifically review albums that have funny names so they can be like they have like the prime zinger right in the first.
And I don't even like Weezer, and I told that from you.
The fucking the Rex Orange County album that came out. It's called Who Cares? Oh. And like I haven't heard it. I don't know anything about it, but. The second I learned that the album was called Who Cares and like the single is called like Whatever or something, and I was like, the reviews are writing themselves. You're doing their job for them.
I have a weird thing against Rex Orange County because I'm from Orange County. Yeah. Because all of the people, like all of the little impressionable people who I went to high school with were like, oh my God, he's singing about me. And then I was like, he's from London. He doesn't care.
He is British.
He's appropriating. Like, oh my God, he's white enough to be part of the culture, but God damn, you're impressionable if that's the reason why you listen to him.
If anybody would colonize Orange County, it would be the British.
Yes. So somehow make it worse. But yeah, no, that's my weird thing against him. Anyway, yeah, Weezer album sucks.
It was not good.
Stinky dookies.
It was not good, but I'm kind of looking forward to dunking on the rest of them too.
Oh my God, I'm not.
We're gonna get 3 more of these.
It's just gonna be 3. I literally said that to I was listening to it and I was like, I cannot fathom the idea that there's going to be 3 more of these.
Provided Weezer don't invent a new season that then becomes like part of the established canon of seasons.
I hope that Weezer breaks up. We'll
call it Caesar. Like the salad.
Oh, can I stab them like the man?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Like the man.
I mean,
I hope Weezer continues into infinity.
The Ides of March did happen.
They did. I hope Weezer never breaks up and they just continue farting out music until the end of time.
I hope they break up tomorrow.
The other 3
and never speak again. Yeah. All right, can we please move on?
Yeah, let's talk about something else.
Let's talk about the singles, because that was our last one, thankfully. So I think that we can start with the 2 EPs.
Okay, yeah.
Which were kaycyy and gesaffelstein.
Yes, I think that's how you say that.
With
I think gesaffelstein because he's German.
Okay,
gesaffelstein, I think, is my best guess.
Gesaffelstein, okay.
But I don't know. I apologize to any of our broad German audience.
With TW 2050.
Yeah. This was cool. I was into this.
This is not my style of rap whatsoever. I said that I thought it had potential and I liked the beats a lot. I thought the beats were really nice. I thought that the lyrics were very mid.
That's but that's fine.
And the vocal delivery was not thrilling at all.
Oh, I liked the vocal delivery.
I'm also not a fan of ad libs. Mm-hmm. And his ad libs were very like Travis Scott to me. We're just like, yeah.
He's so this is like, obviously to me at least the biggest obvious influence here is Cardi. Like, this is a very Playboy Cardi type thing.
Which makes sense because I don't like Cardi.
I also generally don't, but I gave Dial-It another shot a few weeks ago and I liked it more than I remembered. It's still not my thing, but like I can respect it for sure. Mm-hmm. And I like this way better than I like Dial-It. Like I wish Cardi would make more music like this because I actually really like his vocal delivery. I think he's a better singer than you might anticipate. Like some of his actual like vocal singing passages on this are pretty good.
Yeah.
The song I really liked was Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. That song I think is like, that's a very cool direction for like a Cardi style rapper to go in. I really like the hook and I think the beat is almost like almost industrial. Like, it's approaching industrial.
Yeah. My favorite was The Sun.
That one's good too.
I thought that one was nice.
Yeah, I didn't dislike anything here.
I didn't dislike anything either. It was just that the other two really passed me by largely, but The Sun stuck out to me as being enjoyable.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is just really not the kind of rap that I normally go for.
Yeah.
So it is out of my comfort zone. So it is saying something that I even had a favorite track, so that's good, I guess. But not something I think I'll be going back to.
I will say this is a very interesting career move from kaycyy, in my opinion, because his biggest spotlight so far is he was on Donda. He had a really standout verse on Donda. I don't even remember what song it was. Keep My Spirit Alive.
Oh, okay.
He sings on Keep My Spirit Alive. Really like a really nice like sung bit on that song. And like, so that's now he's got a much bigger spotlight on him after that. And to release a collab EP with an industrial musician like this is a really like interesting career move.
Yeah,
and
pretty daring.
I wonder how this will go down in his discography.
Yeah.
Like as it continues to take shape, because he's still very new on the scene.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So the next one is King Gizz and Tropical Fuckstorm.
This was cool.
With Satanic Slumber Party. I didn't like this.
So this is not my thing either. It's not my thing really, but I thought it was very interesting. It's cool, but it's not for me.
I don't know. I think that I can see this appealing to an audience. I'm very much not the audience, it seems. One song really bothered me was part 3, which is just ambient.
Yeah, it's
it's like 10 minutes of ambient.
Yeah.
And then like 2 minutes of actual like
rock,
metal and rock at the end. And I was like, why not intersperse that? Why not make it more interesting?
Yeah.
Why are you splitting it like this? Because there are so many artists who have interspersed their noise with ambient and made it something really compelling. So I was like, okay, you only had 3 songs. I think part 2 was the most interesting.
Yeah, I liked part 2. I just thought it was a good song. Nothing special about it. I just thought it was a good song.
Yeah, but like even over those 3 songs, I feel like you're not doing anything. And I kind of felt like a waste of space, which really bothered me. It was like the kind of thing where, you know, King Gizz makes so many albums.
Yeah.
I felt like they were taking a break on this one.
Yeah, this is definitely like a lesser entry in their catalog.
Wasn't huge on it.
It's an interesting step for TFS though.
Yeah. Kind of not my thing.
All right.
And I guess just in the spirit of going from biggest single, like lengthwise, Arcade Fire, The Lightning 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, what'd you think of this? So you're an Arcade Fire enjoyer.
Yeah, I'm the Arcade Fire enjoyer between the two of us.
I have never heard an Arcade Fire album.
Well, you heard Everything Now.
I heard the song Everything Now on the radio, and that song fucking blows.
It does.
So
yeah,
that song is really annoying.
I do not like it. The whole album Everything Now kind of sucks. My take on Arcade Fire is a little different from a lot of people's. I have a very different set of favorite albums from them than most people do. My favorites from them are Reflector and Neon Bible, which Reflector gets a lot of hate. People don't like it very much. I think it's unfairly shit on, personally. There's some really good tracks off of it, but Neon Bible just has really salient criticism, and I think it's a well-formatted album. Neither of them are perfect by any means, but I think that they have the most character. And The Suburbs and Funeral is better than The Suburbs. I think The Suburbs gets too much love. I think that album is very overrated.
Okay.
But this feels like a callback to the Suburbs era.
Okay.
It's much more opulent.
Yeah.
In that folk kind of alternative scene.
It was opulent. That is the word I would use to describe it.
Then Everything Now was. It's sumptuous in a different way.
There you go.
Shout out Danny. Was sumptuous. Yeah, no, it's I liked the flow between them. The lyric "Don't quit on me, I'll never quit on you" was really ironic, considering after this single dropped, Win Butler, the singer of Arcade Fire.
No, he's not the singer. He's the guitarist. Will Butler is the singer.
Oh, okay.
There's 2 of them.
Yeah, he dropped out of the band. So that was a little funny for me. I liked part 2 over part 1 just because it felt like a more fleshed out song. Part 1 definitely felt like it would not have worked without the context
same.
of part part 2. I almost wish that they were just the same song.
Yeah. Part 2 was very good.
Part
though.
2 was really nice.
I thought it was a very good song, which I wasn't anticipating liking this, just because my only exposure to them is Everything Now.
Yeah, it reminded me of a much more straightforwardly happy version of some of the stuff off of Neon Bible. Like that, the like chimes in the background are very Neon Bible and also very Funeral.
Yeah, I forgot Funeral was the name of an Arcade Fire album for a second there, even though you just said it.
Yeah,
I was like, it sounded like a Funeral.
Yeah, no, Funeral's their first album.
Oh, okay.
So Funeral is like probably their most.
Like a funeral.
I was literally just thinking that. But so this Funeral is kind of like naive in some ways.
Okay.
It's like heavy and has a lot going on, but also has some of those like nice bright moments on it. It's a pretty album. I like it. It's got some real bangers on it too. But Neon Bible is a critique on Christianity and is hence very Catholic influenced.
Okay.
It's got a lot of like cathedral and organ kind of vibes going on, and I thought that the kind of grandiosity of this song suited that. But the instrumental was more Funeral, but Funeral is much more compact.
I see.
So I thought that it was a good marriage of the two, and it almost did feel like a weirdly distant sequel to those two albums because those are back to back in their discography.
I see.
So I was like, huh. So I'm hoping that I like this album.
Yeah, sounds like somewhat of a return to form.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they've just been marinating on the ideas that they might have had for this kind of alternative. Yeah. And come out with something that's just years of built up bangers. I really hope so.
Yeah, that's the good timeline.
I would super hope for a good Arcade Fire album because I do have a huge soft spot for them.
I will probably check out some stuff by them before the new one drops. So.
I would recommend the first two.
I'll contextualize myself.
And I would honestly just really like to hear your opinion on Reflector.
Okay.
Because that was the one that got me into them, and it got me into a lot more long form and like experimental styles of music. Yeah. But I think that people give it too much shit in my opinion. People act like it's like the worst album that was ever created, and I'm like, you need to listen to more music then.
I've heard some shit. Yeah. Have you heard Season Spring by Weezer?
I know. All right. So now we'll get on to something that you have a lot to say about, which is Everything Teletype.
Yeah!
Yeah, baby!
This song and Bad Friday have been occupying my fucking brain for the last like 3 weeks. Yeah. This song has been ingrained in my head. This is probably my favorite song of the year so far.
It's very good.
This song is so good. So the backing track on this one, not the main chord progression, but like the sound at the beginning, like the
super fun, randomly
generated.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So this incoming record, Raw Data Feel, which I am like so happy to be so psyched for, is all conceptual about AI and like it's not a like dystopian record, but like AI is a theme running through it. Yeah. There's a couple songs in the album that I think he said the lyrics were written by an AI generator. Wow. And yeah, like the background sound on teletype is all is just completely
very interesting.
Randomized.
Yeah, because that was one of the parts that I thought was most interesting about it.
Yeah, like so on the bridge, all the instrumentation drops out and it's just him singing over random notes.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so catchy. This hook is absolute solid gold. I love how he mixes it up at the end. Yeah. He changes the lyrics at the end. And with that high note he hits too. It's just so well written. It's so good. It's so fun. Such a strong concept. I have not nearly enough good things to say about this song. Yeah. I love it so much, and I cannot wait to hear Raw Data Feel.
Really excited to review that one. Yeah. It'll be really interesting.
Have you heard Everything before?
I had one of their albums saved. Let me look up.
There's a very strong case to be made that they're my favorite band.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that.
It's Gorillaz or them, and when I listen to a lot of Gorillaz, I'll be like, yeah, Gorillaz are my favorite. But then when I listen to a lot of Everything, as I have been the last few weeks, I'm like, maybe.
I remember I listened to the first 3 songs off of Reanimator. Yeah. because I do the 3-song test with albums where if I don't like them by 3 songs in, I figure I'm not going to, and I dip.
Reanimator is probably their weakest record.
Yeah, because I listened to it and I was like,
What are the first 3 songs in that one?
Lost Powers.
I like Lost Powers.
Big Climb.
Big Climb's really good.
It Was a Monstering.
It Was a Monstering sucks.
So I just did not feel those very much, which is, I think, just a consequence of, once again, a pretty, like a strong and like smooth male vocal being hard for me sometimes.
Wow, you would describe him as smooth and soft?
No, strong.
Strong and smooth. God damn, you should check out. Actually, you know what? I think so. My favorite record of theirs is Get to Heaven, which is this huge like synth rock album about like just taking the insanity of British politics circa 2014, 2015 and like taking those conceits and driving them up to 100, like turning it into like dystopian politics. And that album is a fucking masterpiece. It is like so forward thinking and so boundary pushing while also being so catchy and so accessible. That's my favorite. Okay. I think your favorite might be Man Alive, which is their debut. Why
are there so many albums called Man Alive?
I don't know. It's a popular title.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Man Alive is their debut. It's the one with like the fox on the cover.
Okay.
I think you might like that one because vocally he is fucking out of control on that album. He is all over the place. He's like singing in the falsetto like he does on this song. He is half rapping. Yeah. He is like going up and down the octaves. He's saying so many words that he can barely get them all out before the bar is over. Like the song Suffragette Suffragette and My Key's Your Boyfriend. Okay. I think you would really like stuff like that. Because they're still catchy, but they're structurally like batshit. Yeah, it's great. I've been recently one of the batshit vocalists that I've been really enjoying recently is the guy from Algiers. Oh, he's great. Yeah, the guy from Algiers on their debut album. Yeah, that's the only one of theirs I like. Black Eunuch. Black Eunuch is such a good song. Blood is my favorite song on that album. Blood's a great album, a great song too. So is Claudette. I really like the closer in Parallax. Yeah, it's a really good song. Just a great album. That's a really good record. The Underside of Power also has some strong moments on it. Anyway, yeah, he's got a vocal style that I've been really enjoying. Just like the super strong like heady vocals. Bellows. Oh yeah, he bellows, and then I love that sometimes like you can just hear his voice like not being able to handle it, and he just lets that roughness show. Yeah, he's putting everything into it. Love it. Yeah, love that. That record's so good. So good. That was a pretty formative record for me, actually. I heard that record when I was like 15. Oh, really? Yeah, like right when it came out, because there were Spotify ads from it, and I had never heard anything like Blood before. I was like, oh shit, I gotta check this out. That type of like soul punk is like, there haven't been enough albums that do that. The new Soul Glow record, did you see? I haven't heard it yet, but I'm on it. Yeah, I'm on it too. We can talk about that next week. Yeah, because I've heard really, really good things about it. My friend's been freaking out about it constantly. I almost went to see them in Savannah because they were here with supporting oh god, what's the fucking name of that band? Respect the Band Net. Sheer Mag. Oh, okay. Yeah, they were here in Savannah supporting Sheer Mag, and I almost went, but I didn't like the COVID policy of the venue, so I was like, you know what? No, I'm good. Yeah. And I wish I could see them live. But someday. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about that one. Songs to Yeet at the Sun is really good. And I'm excited to talk about the new Denzel. But I haven't heard that yet. I still haven't listened to it. Ooh. I gotta. Monkey mode for that. Turned into a fucking goose for a second. So one now that's a shared love for both of us. Oh? Andrew Bird. Oh, yeah. Both of our father. I love Andrew Bird so much. I forgot we've had this conversation. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that we're a little bit different, though, because I think my favorite album of his is Weather Systems. Oh, yeah. That's it. I like that one. I love that one. It's kind of funny because there's a ton of remade songs from it on your favorite, which is Mysterious Production of Eggs. I still have to listen to... I don't think that would be my favorite. Really? I really like Mysterious Production of Eggs. My favorite one is... What's the fucking name of it? With the it's like the largely yellow cover with the blue and red type. Hold on 1 second. Noble Beast? No, but I like that one too. Break It Yourself. Oh, okay. Yeah, Break It Yourself is my favorite. I still have to listen to Noble Beast, and I have to listen to Armchair Apocrypha. just recently completed I've now heard every Andrew Bird album.
Okay. I think that one of his that is underappreciated by his fan base is I Want to See Pulaski at Night. I love that album.
That's really just one song.
You don't like the whole instrumental thing?
I mean, they're fine, but the whole album is built around Pulaski at Night.
But I love the instrumentals. I think they stand on their own.
They're
I love
nice.
them.
It's nice.
It's just a very pretty album.
Yeah.
Anyway, this song.
It's good.
I thought it was... here's the thing. I was very torn on it.
It's nothing special for him.
Yeah.
But it's good.
I was torn on it because once again, lyrics. One thing that I love about Andrew Bird is how weird and off-kilter his lyrics are.
He is wordy.
He is
capital W wordy.
Very wordy, and like stuff like him saying he wants to drill a little hole in the back of his person's skull or whatever on Monsieur's Production of Eggs.
Yeah.
It's just lyrics like that get stuck in your head, and you're like, why do I have this phrase stuck in my head?
You said that. I've just been thinking about his duet with Fiona Apple. On,
oh my God. All your left-handed kisses.
Yes,
oh, that song is
so
good. Yeah, Roma Fade is a great song too.
Roma Fade is so...
So is a Truth Lies Low. That like little like do.
Truth Lies Low has Moses Sumney on it.
Really?
Yes, doing backing vocals.
Weird.
Yeah, like 2 years before his debut project. I was listening to that's
talk about a hidden gem at the time, huh?
Yeah, which record is that?
That's on Are You Serious?
Yeah, I was listening to Are You Serious the other day, which is an album I have been into for years.
Really good album.
But I guess I just haven't heard that song since I've been like a fan of Moses Sumney, and like he's instantly recognizable. Like he's got such a voice. I was wait, what? Huh?
Yeah.
Like I had to look it up, but yeah, it's
I
Moses
love that
Sumney's
song.
on that album.
Anyway, yeah, so this one, like, I think it doesn't have that, like, really funky off-kilter lyricism that I like him for, which is kind of a problem for me.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes me just yearn for a bygone era, which is kind of sad to say.
I have some confidence in him.
I
think that'll
hope.
go through. Did you like
My Finest Work? Not really.
Oh, I was into it. I thought it was good.
Once again, it just kind of made me yearn.
Yeah.
It just didn't do anything new for me, which was kind of a shame. Like, I thought that Are You Serious was a really fun development.
Yeah.
And there was a lot more, like, different stuff going on that one.
Agree.
But I thought that there wasn't a whole lot of development from there on My Finest Work yet.
He reined it in, but I don't necessarily mind that. I just thought it was a good record.
Yeah, I do love him though. It's just a problem that I love his early work so much.
Yeah.
So now on his new work, as much as I also do really enjoy it, it makes me kind of want for that more immature kind of style of his.
I will also say this new song, what is the name of it? I can't remember.
Atomized,
yes. This new song could have slotted into My Finest Work Yet, no problem.
Yeah, which is probably why it's a little underwhelming for me.
I hope this album is not My Finest Work Yet again.
Yeah.
Aside, but the last things I listened to in my I should finally complete Andrew Bird's discography thing that I listened to is the really old stuff from before Weather Station that he did with his band Andrew Bird's Bowl of Fire.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if you've ever heard those. Do you know the Squirrel Nut Zippers?
No.
Okay, well, Andrew Bird used to be in the Squirrel Nut Zippers. They are like a swing revival band from the 90s. They're awesome. And they're more like that. So if you want to hear like some Andrew Bird do like 1920s swing music, there's 3 records of that, and they're great. They're really good.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I definitely need to dive deeper into him because what I do know of his, I absolutely adore.
Yeah, he's great.
He's just such a unique artist, I think.
And he whistles.
He does whistle. The whistles are so fun. Okay, next we have Post Animal with Puppy Dog.
I like this one.
I like this one too.
Yeah.
I thought that there was enough like instrumental detail in it, and I like the little tempo changes.
Yes.
I thought there was definitely enough going on to keep it from being like samey dance pop.
Post Animal does that really well, like that. I would almost compare it to like a hip hop beat switch, like when there's a beat switch in a rap song, and they do that in rock songs. I think it works really well.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they're putting together a new record because I really like their last one.
We will see.
I'm a polyvinyl devotee, and they're like a flagship polyvinyl band, so I'm excited. I hope they've got new stuff coming out.
My favorite polyvinyl is KKB.
My favorite polyvinyl is JSOM.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Next is Rachel Chinouriri, which with All I Ever Asked.
Yeah. I like this one.
It didn't really stick out to me. I just thought that there were other singer-songwriter acts with stronger lyrics and presence that I would have gone to first.
I mostly put this one on here because I think she's about to pop off, and this is my psychic moment that I think that she's about to explode.
Okay, we will see. We'll see if we were on it first.
I liked that song,
and then we can cite this.
Yes,
you can tell people
Wikipedia citation.
Go to 162 minutes and 5 seconds in my podcast and listen to me predict the future. And then the last one is Trash Fashion. The beat goes round, parentheses, and round.
And that is the thing about the song, is the beat does in fact go round and round. In addition to going round, it also goes round.
Yeah, which was really thrilling.
Yeah.
This one, it made me laugh, but I'm sure it's not as... It really did not strike me as horrendously bad as people like talk about them as.
Do people talk about Trash Fashion?
I've definitely heard the name.
That surprises me because if... The way I initially found out about Trash Fashion is I was on the Wikipedia page at age approximately 14.
Okay.
And I was on the Wikipedia page for synth rock as a genre because I didn't know how to discover new music. And so that was how I found some bands like fucking like Interpol and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But Trash Fashion was also on the list of like notable synth rock acts. And I am like 99% sure someone in the band
put it there and waited for someone to find it and take it out. Yeah.
And they are just like gloriously just shitty. Like they are very like outsider arty to me. They're like outsider art that artsy people don't like. They are so uncool.
Yeah.
In like every sense of the word. For sure.
It's very like naive.
The sounds they are pulling from have not been cool for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of charming though.
They have been, it's so charming. They've been writing this like stupid rave shit for like 20 years now. It's so good. I don't know. I loved this song. It is stuck in my head right now after you said the title. And the beat goes round and the beat goes round. In round. It's good. It's a good song.
I liked the lyric where he was like talking about looking in the mirror and he wants his nose to be thinner and he wants to be 10 or 20 years younger. I was like, how old are you?
Yeah, they're like 40. There's an album of theirs called Why Can't We Be Friends? That is so stupid. It is like deliriously stupid. And I have loved it for like 7 to 8 years at this point.
Oh my God.
It is just garbage music all around, and I mean that in like the most flattering way possible.
A very affectionate way.
So affectionate. Like I kiss this pile of trash.
Yeah.
This is my official flag stake is Twitter's first Trash Fashion stan.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Man, you know, I'm sure they appreciate you.
I hope they do. I hope they appreciate this podcast shout out because I love them. I'm so devoted.
That's like when I find... Well, I'm recommended like a band that I look on Spotify sometimes. Sometimes Spotify is just a good metric because it shows the listeners to see like how popular a band is. And they have like, I found one that had 7 monthly listeners.
Nice.
And I was like, this band is from like 1997.
Yeah.
They've released 2 albums. I am one of 7 people on the globe right now who's listening to this album. Who the fuck?
I was linked to this fucking album by someone in my Discord server. Rockette, I think it was. It's by this collective called Dealers of God.
Okay.
And I think the album is called Visions of Drugs.
Visions of Bodies Being Burned Part 2. Visions of Drugs.
It's actually Visions of Fuel. It is one of the most bizarre things I have ever listened to. It's like 2 hours long of like stream of consciousness rap, but it's almost like parody rap. And they're talking about like eating cocaine and like doing cocaine. It's like all about like smoking crack for like 2 hours. And there's all like this like sound play and like there's multiple songs over 10 minutes. I think there's one song that's like 25 minutes. It's just like absolute batshit nonsense for 2 hours, and it had like 3 monthly listeners. I was like, how did you find this?
Yeah.
How did you find this to recommend it to me?
I find my most obscure albums from an Instagram page called just Recommend Album.
Okay.
The dude's super cool. He finds the most insane shit.
Yeah.
He found the one by Atom Smasher, which is the one that has 7 listeners.
Yeah.
It's the album Up and Atom, which is very funny.
That's a good title.
I like that album. It's very charming. It's cute. It's very much that like sort of the garagey, like bouncy 90s rock style. They're cute, but he mostly listens to now like traditional like local folk. Like he'll post like, yeah, this is like Lithuanian folk traditional. I'm like, okay. And then I listen to it and I'm like, this is great. How did you find this? Like there's one Akaraki by Senyawa. I've talked about this before. Scariest album I've heard in my life.
Yeah.
Horrifying.
Okay.
Like it sounds like it's just a very intense album.
Is it like noise or is it
it's Malaysian traditional folk.
Oh, okay.
With punk, not punk. How do I describe this? With like post-rock elements.
Okay.
It's just a really crazy album.
Yeah.
But I was listening to it while I was getting ready for class one day and it actually stopped me in my tracks. I was like, what am I listening to? But yeah, he's nutso bonkers.
He's nutso bonkers.
Yeah.
As opposed to Boku bonkers.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's nutso though. Yeah. So there's my plug, I guess.
Yeah, there's some good plugs.
Yeah. All right.
Are you plugged or clogged?
Oh, I'm fully clogged.
Okay. Just making sure on that one.
Deeply clogged.
Because I'm drained now, if you couldn't recall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
The water's starting to go down a little bit.
Yeah, you have like a steady stream.
Yeah.
Yeah. P. So with that, we're gonna sashay our way out.
Yeah. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. We have a Twitter page now.
We do have a Twitter page.
It is called at Presses
Cast.
Cast. Yeah. At Presses Cast, Hot on the Presses podcast. Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter.
I will put that in the description.
Yeah, I'll post on there when we put out new shit. We are also now making Spotify playlists for each everything we bring up exhaustively.
Yeah.
I'm putting it all in a Spotify playlist, and we'll get that in the description of the video here, and on SoundCloud and everything too. And yeah, I think that's about all we got to plug.
That'll be about it.
Yeah, I think that'll do us.
That'll do us.
I'm Sophie.
Would you like to plug your live show actually?
Yeah. Wednesdays, 5 p.m. I do a SCAD radio live show, scadradio.org. You can also listen on, I believe,
Radio FX.
Radio FX is the name of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's an app.
It is an app. I do a 1-hour show, Keeping It Clean with DJ Soap. I'll do like weekly themes sometimes, but mostly it's just cool stuff I like, and sometimes I'll play stuff that we've mentioned on this podcast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mine is Thursday nights from 9 to 11 p.m. I'm the only After Dark show, so that's kind of fun. Mm-hmm. The reason I did that is because after 10 p.m. you're allowed to play cursing, so we can play spicy stuff.
You can play swear words.
I definitely am the alternative to Sophie's show.
Well, you could actually play Blade at all hours of the day.
Oh, because he's a good boy, no cussing.
He's a soft boy.
Yeah, so my show is kind of the opposite of Sophie's, where it's a little bit more challenging, and I like to play stuff that kind of expands on different areas of taste. It starts out normally a little bit lighter, and then we get into some different stuff towards the end. But yeah, that is also scadradio.org. The little bar at the bottom with the play button. You can just listen through there.
Yeah.
Radio FX. And this is all EST, by the way.
Oh yeah, we're in Georgia.
We are in Georgia. So yeah, if you have any interest in hearing what our taste is outside of the podcast, hearing the basis for our critiques, I guess.
Yes.
Then that might be a little fun for you.
A peek into the brain.
Yes.
Of a
brains.
podcast host.
All right. So I think that'll be it.
I'm Sophie.
I'm Megan.
This has been Hot on the Presses.
It certainly has.
We're still hot.
And still on the presses. All right. We'll see you in the next couple weeks.
Later.
Later.